Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Has the Power of the Universe. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
As Naruto listened to his adversary recount his life, he glanced at him across the bridge. The figure was saying, "Please Naruto-kun, I am a tool who is broken. Please end my life now. I wish we could have met each other in a different place, a different time, Haku. I think we could have been the best of friends," Naruto said, closing his eyes as he reached for a kunai, then opening them to raise his kunai and charge forward. When Haku sensed chakra building and heard birds chirping, he closed his eyes and waited for death to take him. An ice mirror formed behind him, and he rushed in. As he opened his eyes rapidly, grabbed Naruto's hand, and said, "I am sorry, I have one last duty to complete." When Haku entered the ice mirror, Naruto swiftly grabbed the back of his shirt and dragged him in with him. When an ice mirror appeared in front of Kakashi, he was running toward the trapped Zabuza with a Chidori in his hand, raising his hand to thrust forward and end Zabuza's life. Haku then appeared, throwing a senbon at the scroll behind Kakashi, but just as Kakashi's hand was about to take out both Haku and Zabuza, a second figure arrived and pushed Haku forward. When he saw Naruto in the path of his attack, Kakashi's eyes widened. He attempted to stop it as the Chidori, but it was too late, and it entered Naruto's chest. Once freed by Haku's senbon, Zabuza swung his sword at the now hunched Kakashi, holding Naruto, saying, "And now you die." However, a new figure appeared in front of Zabuza, blocking the blow with a sword and saying, "I will not let you harm them. Leave now or die." "I don't know who the hell you are, but you're in my way," Zabuza said, glancing at the woman in front of him, who was wearing a white and gold dress, a gold crown, a red cape behind her, and a white sword. At that very moment, an arrow shot through the mist and pierced Zabuza's heart, shocking him and sending him flying back a few feet dead. As Zabuza passed away, the mist began to clear, and the woman turned to face Kakashi, who was staring at her. She then turned to face Naruto, who was lying on the ground and seemed to be dead. Taking a deep breath to calm herself, she saw the wound that Haku was attempting to treat and said, "Step back and let me see him." With haste, Kakashi approached Naruto and inquired, "Who are you?" As her clothing faded to a red and white ensemble, the woman put her sword away. Her eyes were brownish black, and her hair was blonde. As she started to move forward, she said, "I am Adora. The man behind you is Bo, my husband. Now please move so we can save his life." Hitaki Kakashi. Kakashi was trying to use their chakra to find the other person Adora mentioned, but he had not yet found him. Bo then slammed him into the guardrail from behind, and when he turned, he felt a knife at his neck. The man was wearing a red cape, blue pants, and a gold cloth across his chest. Kakashi noticed the woman hunched over Naruto, and she said, "It doesn't look good. The only one who can save him now is the sorceress. We need to get him to her." Bo nods, reaches for the arm that is holding the knife at Kakashi's neck, and presses a small watch. Kakashi hears musical notes, and then a tunnel of light appears on the bridge, and lightning starts to form. Adora seized Naruto's body as the tunnel developed and hurried through the opening. Bo stops Kakashi as he gets up to run toward the portal, saying, "Sorry, you can't go there." "Move or," Kakashi said, glancing at Bo with his Sharingan. Bo replied, "Or what? You're trying to stop a woman from rescuing your student who you nearly killed. What would Minato say about his student nearly killing his son?" At that moment, Kakashi was motionless, and before he could speak, he saw a figure dash into the tunnel, which then shut. "Once he is able to return, my wife will return with him, and the pink-haired girl. I will stay and fill their spot until they return as proof they will be unharmed." Bo, who also witnessed the figure run into the tunnel, said as he leapt back away from Kakashi and pocketed the knife. With narrowed eyes, Kakashi questioned, "Who are you really?" As he turned to face Gato and his men at the beginning of the bridge, the man grinned and said, "Let's deal with that scum first and we can talk later." Kakashi scowled and prepared to fight when he noticed Tazuna and Haku standing there, observing the blood on the bridge. "Well, Sasuke alive for now, there is nothing I can do since I need to protect the client," he thought as he turned to face Sasuke, who was still lying on the ground and groggily massaging his head with one arm. Gato said to the men in front of him, "Well, Zabuza was useless, but I wasn't going to pay him anyways. Kill everyone on the bridge and bring me the bitch there so I can kill her myself for breaking my arm." As he formed hand signs and ice needles formed in the air, Haku, who bit his lip and looked at Zabuza's body, said, "I am a boy and you will die for double-crossing Zabuza-sama." He killed 10 men, thinking, "I am sorry Zabuza-sama, but I have to repay Naruto for saving my life as you did. I will avenge you now though." The men charged after witnessing so many deaths, and Bo drew his bow and began shooting at them. Taking out a pair of kunai and getting ready to fight, Kakashi scowled. A short while ago, with Sakura, who was protecting Tazuna, saw Kakashi hunched over with Naruto on the ground. As the mist started to clear, she was staring at the image of another blonde man on the ground, bleeding to death, when she heard her inner Sakura scream. No, not again. I failed to protect him. Sakura grabbed her head as the world around her turned black. When Sakura's world returned to her, she was in a black stone room and wondered, what happened and where am I? What happened to Naruto and the others? She glanced around and noticed a metal door. She heard the creak as she opened the door and emerged into a long, dark hallway. She glanced to her left and right and saw torches lighting the hallway. She bit her lip and started walking down the hall to her left. She tried a few of the doors she passed, but they were locked, so she kept walking down the hall. She soon reached the end of the hall and noticed a huge door. She pushed it open after looking around and saw that it was a large room with excellent lighting from torches. She entered the room slowly, and her eyes widened when she noticed Naruto's body lying in the center of the space. She hurried to him. She slid to her knees to stop when she was close enough, and she started to examine him after noticing that he was only wearing white silk boxers and that he had a large scar on his chest. As she looked closely, she saw his chest rise and fall, and she thought, he's alive. She let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. She was startled by a female voice that said, surprised, huh? Sakura looked around and hurried to her feet, drawing a kunai as she said, who's there? Show yourself. Isn't it polite to give your name first when asking someone else if there is Sakura Haruno? The voice said, laughing. As she searched the room for the speaker, Sakura's eyes widened and she asked, how do you know my name? When Sakura noticed a falcon perched atop a throne chair, it took off and flew in her direction. Halfway there, it was illuminated by light, and the falcon transformed into a woman who looked to be in her late 20s, with black eyes and brownish red hair. I know who you are because I am the sorceress and the one who saved Naruto there, Sakura said. Where are we? Asked Sakura, who was still standing in front of Naruto's body. We are currently in Castle Grayskull, the sorceress stated. As Sakura started to speak, she heard someone whispering behind her, Eternia. Sakura yelled, Naruto, are you alright? As she turned to see Naruto massaging his head with his left hand while his eyes remained closed. Naruto opened his eyes slowly, blinked a few times, and said, Sakura-chan, in an inquisitive tone. Sakura's eyes started to well up, and she forgot about the sorceress as she stooped to embrace Naruto, causing him to gasp in agony. The sorceress said, it will take a little while for you to finish healing. Even with my powers you were nearly dead. Sakura heard his gasp and realized what she had done. She immediately stood up and appeared sheepish. Naruto then slowly sat up holding his chest. After surveying his surroundings and glancing at Sakura and the sorceress, Naruto questioned, what happened? Why don't you stand up and follow me so we can get you some new cloths fitting of one such as yourself and then have something to eat, and I will explain to both of you about what has happened. Do not worry. You are in no danger here. Sakura began to say something, but the sorceress interrupted her as she turned to leave. Naruto blinked as he became aware of his attire for the first time, wondering, where did these boxers come from? He turned to face Sakura, who was staring at him, and began to stand up, but as he did, he experienced pain all over again. To his surprise, he felt hands assist him in standing up. When he noticed Sakura helping him up, he said, thanks. Sakura started to follow the sorceress, saying, whatever, come on. As he started to follow Sakura, Naruto scowled at her casual comment and took another look around the room before focusing on the throne and thinking, strange, I feel like I've been here before. The sorceress said, please go inside with these ladies, Naruto, and they will help to get you some new cloths since your old ones were destroyed once you were dressed. Please continue down this hall till the end, and Sakura and I will be waiting for you there, okay? 10 minutes later, they came to a stop in front of a white door where two women were standing in white dresses with blue scarves covering their faces. The question that has been on Naruto's mind since waking up is, why does it feel like I've been here before but I know I haven't? He nods and asks, drawing attention from everyone. With a smile on her face, the sorceress said, the same reason Sakura here followed Adora through the gateway when she brought you here. Sakura thought, I followed that woman, but why, and what happened to Sasuke-kun and Kakashi-sensei as well as Tazuna? According to Naruto, and that is, the sorceress turned and started to leave after saying, for you to discover when you were better dressed. Sakura glanced at Naruto, and the sorceress said, of course you could always go in and help Naruto get dressed. Sakura, I am sure you might like to see him naked, without turning around. As Sakura crossed her arms over her chest and started to follow the sorceress down the hall, she became enraged and yelled, pervert. As Naruto watched them leave, he felt two hands move around both of his arms, and the two women literally pulled him off his feet and into the room. The sorceress sat down in the chair with the biggest back and said, Please have a seat, and once Naruto arrives we can eat and I will be happy to answer any questions you both have. Please don't ask me any until then because I don't like to repeat myself. Sakura followed the sorceress into a large stone room with a circle table in the center. She closed her eyes. Sakura took in everything as she surveyed the room, thinking, I wish something would start to make sense because I am getting a headache from everything. Sakura's eyes widened when Naruto entered the room 20 minutes later. He was wearing a white silk shirt, black slack pants, and a red vest that was slung loosely on him. His hair had been chopped and made less spiky, and she thought, is this really Naruto? He looks completely different. Glancing down, Naruto thought, God, that was so embarrassing. Those two ladies literally forced me into these cloths after they bathed me and cut my hair. I swear they were freakishly superwoman. He blushed as he saw Sakura pointing at him. At that moment, the sorceress chuckled and pressed a button on the table. A side door opened, and a number of women dressed similarly to those who dressed Naruto entered the room with trays. They sat down in front of Sakura, with an empty seat next to her, in front of the sorceress, who was seated opposite the two others, and next to the sorceress before departing. The sorceress replied, please sit and join us Naruto, and I will explain everything to you and Sakura here about where exactly we are, how you got here, why you feel like you have been here before, and why Sakura followed you here. After that I will be more than happy to answer any questions either of you have. Okay. After glancing at her, Naruto questioned, why should we trust you? The sorceress stated, there are 3 very good reasons why you should listen to me. Naruto. 1. I saved your life after you nearly died from getting in the way of your sensei attack. 2. I know your entire family history, including who your parents were, and 3. You are the grandson of my daughter, making me your great-grandmother, causing both teens to gasp. How is that possible? You look like you're not over 30 years old, Sakura exclaimed. Both teenagers turned to see Adora standing there grinning when a second female voice behind them asked, would you believe that the sorceress here is over 500 years old? It's you, the lady from the bridge, Sakura said. Adora replied, yes I am, and I can tell you have doubts about what you heard Naruto, but the sorceress is telling the truth. She is very wise and powerful, so much so that she took care of the secret you learned about the day you graduated from the academy. Sakura questioned, what secret? What is she talking about? Naruto, as Naruto's eyes widened. When the seal did not appear, Naruto ignored Sakura, pulled up his shirt, and started channeling chakra while glancing at his stomach and asking, how? Sakura said, what's going on, Naruto? Why did you lift your shirt and look at your stomach while channeling chakra? As Adora approached and took a seat next to the sorceress. Please sit Naruto and allow me to tell you both everything, the sorceress said. As you can see, your sensei and teammate are both at the bridge still, along with Tazuna, along with many of the people of Wave. It has been a little over a week since your battle there. Adora husband Bo, the man with the cape, is currently replacing you both to ensure that you both will be returned unharmed after a short time to allow Naruto to heal. Now watch closely. Naruto looked at her in shock and slowly took the seat next to Sakura. After pressing a button on the table, a metal tube emerged, shocking both teenagers. As the view shifted to a solar system and zoomed out further until it revealed a galaxy, then out even further until it stopped, the sorceress said, your planet is called Gaiden Prime. It is several million light years away from here. She then zoomed in on the planet Eternia and continued, this is the entire universe with billions of worlds and millions of different species and life forms, and in the center of the universe is planet Eternia. As she gazed at the hologram, Sakura said, wait, you said that name when you woke up? Naruto. With a perplexed expression, Naruto said, I did. As the hologram zoomed in and displayed a castle with a skull in front of it, the sorceress said, yes you did, but it's not surprising. Now you both may ask why you are hearing this about some planet and what does this have to do with anything. The answer is simple. She then said, Castle Grayskull. As the hologram zoomed in further and displayed the exact room where they sat, both teenagers' eyes widened. Looking around the room, Naruto stumbled out, are you saying we're not even on our planet anymore? Adora replied, you Naruto actually have very little claim to that world, but I am sure the sorceress will explain that momentarily. Sorceress said, indeed, now I will answer the main questions you both have. You wonder why you followed Sakura, and you wonder about your family and why you have been alone your entire life. The answer to both those questions are connected and begin many years ago before either of you were ever born. You said you would answer any questions we have, but all I am getting is more questions. Can you please answer some before I go crazy? Asked Sakura, who was attempting to process everything. The sorcerer. You know the other voice in your head, Sakura, the one who constantly gives you headaches. Sakura's eyes widened, and Naruto blurted out, what voice? The sorceress looked at him and responded, please let me answer some of her questions, Naruto, and then I will answer your questions. Show her a little compassion now, and I know she will show you some later. Sakura questioned, how do you know about that? I haven't told anyone about that voice, not even my mom or Ino. Naruto nods, but scowls. The hologram altered the view to reveal a red-haired woman dressed in a white outfit with gold armor and a gold glow. As Sakura gazed at the photo, she thought, "That's me, but how?" The sorceress replied, "As I am sure you heard the voice just now in your head give you an answer that only you have to know. I will continue. This was Tila, captain of the Royal Guard of Eternia, personal bodyguard of Prince Adam as well as his wife. She was also my daughter and your grandmother Naruto." She wondered, but if that is her daughter and she is the voice in my head, how did she get there? As he gazed at Sakura, Naruto thought, "That's my grandmother, but how is she connected to Sakura?" As he looked at the woman in the hologram, a man with flat blonde hair and purple and white clothing appeared in the hologram once more, and the sorceress said, "This is Prince Adam, your grandfather Naruto." Sakura recalled the words she heard in her mind at the moment when she had a flashback of the image that took Naruto's place on the bridge, and she said, "He died and Tila wasn't able to save him." Naruto glanced at Sakura and the sorceress responded, "Yes. Tila wasn't able to save him because she was still weak from childbirth of their son. An evil man named Skeletor attacked the castle where both Adam and Tila lived with all his men and kidnapped their son during the attack, holding him as a hostage. Skeletor forced Adam to surrender his weapon in order to save his son's life, and Skeletor took Adam's sword and stabbed him through the ear with it, killing Adam. Tila, who against the doctor's orders came to the battle to save her son and husband and saw her husband die, she then saw as her son was about to be killed also and used a device that was invented that we modified to allow the members of the royal family to go between worlds to open a gateway, and she attacked Skeletor while he was distracted by the gateway and knocked her son carrier through the gateway, and she stabbed Skeletor fatally, but not before she also fell on the sword of her husband." As Naruto listened to all of this, he remarked, "My father was sent through this gateway to planet Gaiden, and both of my grandparents died fighting this Skeletor guy." Adora replied, "Yes Naruto, now that you know about them I will explain what happened after that. My name is Adora and I am the twin sister of Prince Adam, so I am your great aunt. I lived on the sister planet to Eternia called Etheria. I won't tell you right now why I lived there because it's not important right now, but when I heard about what happened I returned here and took over as the ruler of planet Eternia. While I searched for my nephew I sent out people from both Eternia and Etheria to look for him, and I had nearly gave up hope when one of my best guard discovered the planet Gaiden and found your father. My guard's name was Kushina Uzumaki, your mother." Sakura questioned, "Wait, if her name was Uzumaki then why is Naruto's last name Uzumaki and not whatever his father's last name was?" As Naruto's eyes widened, Adora said, "I was just getting to that. You see, your father after he went through the gateway was discovered in the woods near the village of Konoha and taken there thinking he was just some regular orphan and placed in the orphanage. By the time Kushina found him it had already been 18 years. Kushina met him and arranged for a meeting with him and his sensei, and they both came here to Eternia and I talked with him and explained everything. He was happy to finally learn about his family but could not stay because your village was in the middle of the Three Great Shinobi War and he had people there in the village of Konoha he felt he owed the right to protect, so he returned and I agreed with him, but Kushina asked that she be allowed to go with him since he was the next person in line for the throne, and so that way we could keep in touch. It was agreed, and his sensei created a false background for her claiming she was from the recently destroyed Whirlpool country, and she became a famous ninja in your village known as the Red Death because of her red hair and her fighting abilities. Your father and her got closer over time and eventually married in secret. When the war was over he was given a tough choice: return here to take the throne or Eternia or become the leader of your village, making both teens' eyes widen. Feeling queasy, Naruto swallowed and questioned, which did he choose? The hologram changed and both teens' eyes went wide as they saw the Yondaime Hokage appear, and Adora said, "Kushina discovered that she was pregnant with you at the same time. He was coming to a decision, and so he decided that since he had lived there his entire life and that he did not want you to see the pain and death that he had, to that you would be brought back to Eternia and raised as the heir to the throne, and he would stay there until his village recovered and a replacement could be found and return here as well. But a week before you were due to be born the Kyuubi attacked your village. When I came to Konoha to get you and your mother to bring you here I discovered both had died, and I thought that you had as well, so I returned here broken-hearted, believing that the only family I had left in the world was dead. If that is true, then how did you show up to bring me here when I nearly died?" Sakura asked Naruto, who was staring at the ground. The sorceress stated, "That is because of me Naruto. You see, I had been having dreams for the last 14 years about my daughter Tila, and my dreams became more and more common about her, and then 2 weeks before you nearly died I had a dream that showed you showing a hidden power that only Prince Adam had, and I heard Tila voice ask, 'Is this really Naruto?'" Sakura eyes went wide as she looked at the sorceress and remembered thinking those words as the sorceress continued, I saw you attack a man holding your sensei hostage in a prison made out of water, and when I awoke the sword of power was floating in my chambers. Having awoke for the first time since it was used to kill Adam and Tila, I realized that could mean only one thing. I called for Adora here to come to Castle Grayskull, and I searched for you using my powers. I discovered you when you were talking to Haku in the woods, and when Adora arrived I explained to her what I discovered, and she quickly left to find you along with her husband Bo. They began to search for you and reached the bridge during the battle and waited for the right moment as to not make you think they were the enemy, and when you were nearly killed they both acted and Adora brought you here with Sakura following her. Adora, not knowing about Sakura's special connection, knocked her out thinking she was trying to keep you from being saved, and so she brought you before me and I healed you, and I used my powers to look through your memories to make sure that I was right and you were who I thought you were. I discovered the secret you had discovered and I dealt with it, releasing you from that so you could live a better life. Sakura inquired, "What secret?" As he gazed at Sakura, Naruto swallowed, and the sorceress said, "If you wish, Naruto, I can show her your memories of that night so that she may know the truth." Looking down at the sorceress and Adora for a few moments, Naruto asked, "If will I have to return if I don't want to?" Startled, Sakura questioned, "Naruto, why wouldn't you want to go back home?" "Can I go lay down somewhere? I don't feel so good," Naruto said, closing his eyes. Adora said, "Yeah, I can show you to your room." Naruto stood up and started to follow her, but he stopped and said, "You can show her whatever you want." He then left the room, shutting the door behind him. "I love you, Naruto, and I am sorry for not being there for you. I won't ever leave you again," Adora said, grabbing Naruto in an embrace as he was about to cry after seeing his memories through the sorceress. After becoming rigid when being pulled into an embrace, Naruto gradually loosened up and started crying. After Sakura saw him go, the sorceress waited for him to leave before turning to face her and saying, "So?" Sakura gave her a look and questioned, "What?" The sorceress replied, "How curious are you about the entire truth, including why my daughter is in your head? Know this, if you decide to discover the entire truth there is no going back. Your life will forever change. Even if you want to not believe the truth, you will know it is true and know that your future actions will be based on it." After staring at the sorceress for a few minutes, Sakura bit her lip and asked, "What is the truth?" After considering her options and deciding whether or not she truly wanted to know. Sorceress smiled and said, "The truth is when Tila and Adam died, Tila, who had began to train to take over for me, used all her magical powers and cast one final spell as she died. The spell was for her and Adam to never be separated even in death. When she did that, the sword of power that was still inside of her from Skeletor attack amplified her powers 100 times and allowed for hers and Adam's souls to be reborn. However, because Skeletor was still holding the sword, his soul as well was reborn into a new body." "So you're saying that I am the reincarnation of your daughter Tila?" Sakura asked with a brief frown. The sorceress replied, "Not exactly. You see, Adam's soul was reincarnated into a baby a year before you were, but the day he was born a second soul was sealed into his body. Because of the effect of the spell, when you were born, instead of Tila being the soul in your body, a second soul was added to match Adam's. Tila became your inner Sakura, as you call her, and over time you and her have began to merge together to form a new person, which is a combination of both you and her. I would say in 2 years the merger will be complete, just like the soul of Adam was slowly merging with the second soul in his body." Before her eyes widened and she turned to face the door Naruto had left, Sakura's eyes darted back and forth for a few moments before she exclaimed, "Naruto, he is Adam, isn't he?" The sorceress stated, "Yes, though he is not actually Adam. His soul may have once been Adam, but he is not him, just as you may have Tila's soul in you. You are not Tila, you are Sakura, and he is Naruto. However, as you finish merging with Tila, you will form a bond with Naruto. I am not saying it will be husband and wife, it could be just best friends, but you will build a strong bond that will never be broken. How much of one will depend on you both?" Sakura inquired, "What about the second soul in Naruto? How did that happen, and what will it do to him when he merges with it?" Sakura witnessed Mizuki approach Naruto and inform him about a second exam as the hologram changed once more. She then observed Naruto learning Kage Bunshin and stealing the forbidden scroll. She watched as Iruka and Mizuki confronted him, and when she discovered the Kyuubi's secret, her eyes widened. After that, she heard Iruka claim that Naruto was not the Kyuubi, and that Naruto had both saved his life and defeated him. He then described how the Yondaime requested that Naruto be viewed as a hero, and she watched as they conversed. When it was over, Sakura emotion were shot to hell and she stated, "When I was healing Naruto and reviewed his memories, I discovered the Kyuubi was in him, so I used my powers to purify the demon chakra, giving him a huge boost in chakra but killing the demon, so the demon is no longer inside of Naruto, basically speeding the process up to make a new Naruto. Now the choice is yours. What will you do?" "How much does he actually know?" Sakura asked, biting her lip as she considered everything she had heard and seen. The sorceress stated, He only knows what was said here in this room when he was here, and since he woke up besides myself you are the only other person who knows about the reincarnation, not even Adora knows about that. Sakura responded, you said I will become someone else, then who will I be? Sakura asked, her eyes wide, why? As the sorceress said, that is up to you, I will tell you this until your merger with Tila is complete, I can't let you leave. The sorceress stated, since a part of you has Tila's soul you will slowly gain some of her powers. If I do not train you in the basics of how to use them, then you could accidentally destroy yourself and everyone around you. You don't want that to happen to you. Sakura said, looking down. No, the sorceress replied. Good. Now don't be worried about your friends and family in Konoha. There is a reason I look so young when I am so old. There is a natural effect that happens on this planet I will tell you about later that slows aging greatly. Over the next 2 years you and Naruto will both be trained to make you both stronger and smarter. I will take time to teach you to use the powers that are awakening inside of you, and Adora will train Naruto about his kingdom here, the people of our world as well as other worlds, how to fight properly as well as how to rule wisely. Once that is over I will send you both back to the day of your Genin exams, so that way the mission to Wave hasn't happened. With wide eyes, Sakura said, wait, you can send us back in time. Sorceress said, somewhat. This planet which I told you is in the center of the universe is special. Whoever rules Eternia rules the universe. All the power in the universe both begin and end here, and this castle is the focal point of all that power. There have been many wars for the power here. The average human lives around 100 years if they are lucky, right? Sakura nods, and the sorceress said, here on Eternia, because of all the magic and power, this planet holds human age slower and can live up to 800 years old. Because of me being the guardian of Castle Grayskull, which means I am the focal point for the castle, I may live to be 1000 years old, so you won't age much physically over the next 2 years, but mentally you will. Because of the key that we use to open the gateways between worlds, we can send a person back in time, but only if they are alive at that point in time and they don't age back to how old they're then. They replace themselves there. So say you're a 30-year-old woman and you get sent back to the day you were born. You would be a 30-year-old woman when you were born, and if you wanted to be there to live your life with your husband who died, he would be 1 or 2 years old if he was older than you, so you would never be able to be with him. I believe you can see why it is something we don't use often. I could go back and save Minato or Adam, but then Naruto won't be born if I did that, because there is no guarantee him and Kushina would still hook up, and if so, when they originally did, time travel is not something to take lightly. Sakura inquired, then why don't you send us back to the day on the bridge? Why all the way back to the day of Genin exams? Sorceress said, there are several reasons, Sakura. One is that is the day Naruto learned about Kyuubi. What would happen if when people went to tell him about it he didn't have the Kyuubi in him or the seal on his stomach? It would cause people to go into doubt about him being the Kyuubi. Second is that nobody knows what yours or his actual skills are then, because all they taught you at the academy was basics. When you both show skills that neither of you originally had, you can simply state you have been working on these on your own from some books or scrolls you once read. And for Naruto, well, that is a surprise for later. The last answer is simple but also the most complicated. Sakura inquired, what do you mean? The sorceress stated, simple, Sakura. Remember how I told you about Skeletor being reincarnated as well? I do not know who he was reincarnated in or if he has a second soul like you both had. He could be anyone, but like you, he will have his powers he had slowly returned to him, and since he was nearly as powerful as I am in magic, and he will eventually learn to use it again, and when he does he will track down Adam and try to kill him, because Adam was the only one who could stop him, and since you have a connection to Adam, you as well. Like I said, once you found out, it would forever change your life. If Skeletor wins, then he may find a way to return here, and if that happens no one will be able to stop him from taking over the universe. Only He-Man can stop Skeletor. Says Sakura. Who is He-Man? As she watched him change, her eyes widened once more. The hologram showed Adam looking left and then right before reaching behind his back and drawing a sword and saying, by the power of Grayskull I have the power. Sorceress said, the sword of power which belonged to Adam and will be claimed by Naruto, since it was the sword who proved to me that he was alive. Before you return is one of 2 magical swords. The sword of power is like a giant magnifier. It uses the powers that are concentrated here in Castle Grayskull and magnifies a person's speed, strength, agility, power, endurance, and stamina by 10. Sakura replied, so Naruto will be stronger and transform into He-Man. The sorceress replied, yes, but only when he must. That is why we are going to train him, so he won't have to rely on it as much as he would now, and someday he will become the strongest man in the universe. So do you have any more questions? After a moment of reflection, Sakura shook her head no, and the sorceress said, good. She then stood up, walked around to Sakura, touched her forehead, and said, you will only remember the entire truth when you return to Konoha. You will forget all about He-Man, Skeletor, and the sword of power or the plans for your return become a strong woman Sakura and know I am proud of you even if you are not my daughter. Sakura blinked for a few seconds before asking, what happened? The sorceress stated, you fell asleep when I was talking to you sorry, I get a little long-winded. Where is Naruto? I need to talk with him, Sakura asked, nodding. As the sorceress led Sakura through the castle, she said, follow me. He is inside this room, you are sharing a room but there is a second bed. The sorceress then said, tomorrow Adora will take you and Naruto to Castle Eternia to begin training. She was standing outside a door. Sakura inquired, so how long will we be training for? I understand about Naruto needing to see his family and learn from them but my family and friends are going to worry about us if we are gone too long. The sorceress stated, that has all been taken care of Sakura. Remember Bo has stayed behind in your place and he will inform your Hokage and you can write a letter to your family and I will ensure they get it but sadly you won't be able to receive any because we don't want anyone to discover the secrets here. I am sure you understand. Consider this a training mission so you can show everyone how strong you can become, even that Ino girl you were rivals with. I never thought of it that way. I can't wait till everyone learns Naruto is actually a prince, Sakura said, her eyes widening for a moment. As she turned and left, the sorceress remarked, you have a lot to learn about your teammate Sakura. Good night. When Sakura entered the room and saw Naruto sleeping on a twin-size bed, she wondered, what did she mean by that? She stared at him for a few minutes before thinking, I will talk to him tomorrow about the Kyuubi. She then went to the bathroom to wash up, got into the other bed, and fell asleep. Adora was standing next to the sorceress's throne room when she returned, and she asked, so? As she sat on the throne, the sorceress remarked, I told her about the Kyuubi and it being destroyed now. She seemed to take it well but only time will tell. Why did she follow us here? Inquired Adora. The sorceress stated, Sakura may not realize it but she has a bond with Naruto and when she saw him injured like that she had to make sure he was okay even if she doesn't know why. Adora responded, but what about that voice in her head you both spoke about? The sorceress stated, Sakura has hidden magical powers hidden in her and they formed like a second personality. As she ages she will absorb that power but she will need training in it, so I will oversee some of Sakura training after the first year and a half you have till then to train her and Naruto. After that you will only have Naruto, then I will send them back to their world and Bo can return. It will be a long 2 years, but it will be great to be with my nephew, Adora said, nodding. As Adora went to sleep, the sorceress nodded and said, well, if you will excuse me, I am tired. She then got up and walked away. When Naruto woke up the following morning, he glanced around the room before focusing on the form of the sleeping Sakura. He grinned slightly as he saw her sleeping soundly. After about 10 minutes, he eventually got up and went to the bathroom to wash up and put on some of the clothes a woman had given him the night before when he was returning to his room with Adora. He noticed Sakura was still asleep as he was leaving the bathroom, so he bit his lip and crept over to the door. Sakura's eyes widened as the door creaked open, and she looked around in fear until she saw Naruto's figure trying to slip out of the room. She blinked for a moment, and then the memories of the previous night returned, and she said, Naruto? In a hesitant voice. When he heard her, Naruto froze, rubbed the back of his head in her direction, and quickly put on his fake smile before saying, Morning Sakura-chan. Sakura asked, Where are you going, Naruto? After scowling for a moment and thinking, there's something wrong with that smile. Naruto replied, Oh, I was just going to look for something to eat. I didn't eat much yesterday, remember? Unsure of what to say, Sakura bit her lip and said, Can we talk? As his smile faded, Naruto's shoulders slumped slightly and he replied, Sure. As he sat down on his bed, Sakura observed him and inquired, Was it true? With a bewildered expression, Naruto questioned, Was what true? He sighed, glanced at the floor, and simply nodded his head in agreement when Sakura shot him a deadpan expression. In an accusing tone, Sakura questioned, Why didn't you tell Sasuke, Kakashi-sensei, and me? She gasped when she saw how lifeless Naruto's eyes appeared, and he turned his head away from her before asking in a lifeless voice, Does it matter? Sakura replied, Of course it matters, we are your teammates. Sakura's fist slammed Naruto's head against the door as he stood up and walked toward it, snorting and saying, No, I'm not. I'm the annoying dead last idiot who gets in your way to Sasuke. When Naruto turned to face her, she screamed, Baka, you don't leave the room in the middle of a conversation. I want to know why you didn't tell us. He was holding his head on the door. Naruto yelled, And what? Have you and Sasuke hate me just like everyone else? Kakashi-sensei already knew about Kyuubi just like nearly everyone else in the village. Why should I make more people hate me for something I never asked for or wanted? After the final line of dialogue. Don't scream at me, you. Sakura yelled back at him. As he opened the door and slammed it before she could recover, Naruto interrupted her, screaming, "What? Demon, monster, Kyuubi, dead last, baka, freak, weakling, failure, huh? Which one were you going to call me, huh? You can't even talk to me. You have to scream at me like I am some little child and you're royalty. Well, guess what? You're the younger one of us, princess." As her rage overcame her, Sakura glared at the door, thinking, "Baka, how dare he yell at me?" She stomped to the bathroom to get ready, and as she started to cool down, she scowled as she considered what he had said, asking herself, did he really expect me to say those names to him? Was I going to? The sorceress said, "I see you awake, Naruto, have a good night's sleep." Naruto left the room and began to wander around Castle Grayskull before arriving at the throne room. Sighing, Naruto sat cross-legged and uttered, "Yeah, but I don't know what to do." After glancing at him, the sorceress questioned, "Really, why is that?" After giving her a long look, Naruto remarked, "You know, I remember another blonde who would sit there like that when he would need advice when he was unsure about something." Not really caring, but wanting to distract himself from his thoughts, Naruto scowled and questioned, "Really, who?" The sorceress stated, "Your grandfather, Prince Adam. Like you, he had a secret that made him different than others, something that made his life hard, and at times he wished he never had it, but without it a lot of innocent people would have died, so by having his secret he saved the lives of people who didn't care for him and some who did." With genuine interest, Naruto inquired, "What was his secret?" The sorceress looked at him and replied, "You're not ready yet to know. I promise you that before you leave to return to where you were born that you will know, but you need to learn about Eternia before you will be able to understand what his secret actually was and why it was so important. It is something only a few knew everything about. Can you trust me to tell you later when you know about Eternia and her history and accept that?" After a brief scowl, Naruto remarked, "Yeah, at least you said you would tell me when I could understand." The sorceress replied, "Yeah, if you want, like the secret that I kept about Adam, I can keep the secret for you if you want to talk to me about what's bothering you." Naruto paused for a moment and said, "It's strange, something tells me to trust you and I don't know why, but it's like how I feel like I've been here before. Something tells me that I know that you will help me. I don't know who I am anymore because of the Kyuubi and the life I had because of it. I thought that I was a big noodle in a small bowl or ramen, but now you discovered that the little bowl or ramen is actually just a spoonful of a much larger pan," the sorceress said with a smile. Naruto paused for a moment and replied, "Yeah, but I find out that even in the larger pan I am still a big noodle. Maybe bigger than I thought, but I don't know if I should be miso flavored, chicken, or beef flavored." "Well, what flavor do you want to be?" the sorceress asked. Naruto took a step back and replied, "I don't know, that's the problem. Am I the Kyuubi, or am I his prison or the former prison? Am I the son of the Yondaime, or the son of a prince? Am I a worthless piece of trash that nobody wants, or am I a prince, and if so, does anyone actually want me, and if so, what should I do?" "You're not the Kyuubi or his prison. I took care of that for you," the sorceress said. Naruto replied, "But does it matter? People are still going to think I am Kyuubi even if I don't have it in me. Nobody will believe that it's gone, and if they do they will think that Kyuubi has taken over me. Nobody would believe me or believe in me," while staring down. The sorceress scowled and inquired, "How are your friends doing?" Naruto glanced down and replied, "I don't know. I wonder sometimes if the people I care for really care for me. If Ayame and her dad actually like me, or is the Hokage paying them too? Does Gigi actually see me as his grandson, or does he do it as a request to dad or to make sure he can keep me close in case Kyuubi broke free so he could kill me? Does Iruka-sensei actually like me, or did the old man order him to pass me since I found out about Kyuubi? Does Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke-teme, and Sakura-chan really care for me at all, or am I just the weakling that everyone has to carry on their shoulders, or the monster who gets in their way of making them happy? Does anyone here really care for me, or is it guilt for losing dad and Adam?" The sorceress said, "Do you have anyone who is precious to you? Don't fear what they or others think about you, but ask yourself right now, is there anyone who is precious to you?" After noticing how defeated Naruto appeared. Reflecting on Haku and what he had told him, Naruto looked down thoughtfully and replied, "Yes." "What would you do for them?" the sorceress asked. After giving her a quick glance, Naruto declared, "I would die for them." The sorceress nods and continues, "That's a good start. You ask, does anyone here care for you? I will tell you the truth. I do care for you because you are my family, and I would die for you also because you're family. As sorceress of Eternia, I would die to protect you like I would for any of Eternia people, but I can't say that I care for you as a person because I don't know you as a person yet. I want to get to know you and love who you really are. Not because your family or your connection to Eternia, but because of who you really are, not who you pretend to be. Do you even know who you really are?" Hearing this, Naruto was both happy and offended. He responded, "Yeah, I know who I am." The sorceress replied, "Really? Then why did you come in here confused about what to do and who you are?" You have a fresh start here, Naruto, with no one who already hates or likes you beside myself, Adora, and Sakura, but none of us know the actual you. Adora like myself love you because you are family, but she doesn't know who you really are and wants to know so she can love the real you. Sakura as your teammate and would die to save you, but she doesn't know you as a real person because you have hidden who you were all these years acting like a loudmouth idiot, but that's not who you really are, is it? With a calmer, quieter voice, Naruto said, no, while closing his eyes. Sorceress said, and that right there is the real you, the person you only showed glimpses of and hidden from the world. The one who I dreamed of that showed me you were still alive. Why not show who you really are, the person who saved Inari and Tsunami when those men came to attack them? Show me an Adora, Prince Naruto of Eternia, Genin member of Team 7 of Konoha. Show Sakura her teammate and someone she could grow to be friends with. I know you care for her, but is it really her that you care for or wanting to be accepted that you want? Spend time with her as yourself and find out who the real her is as well as the real you. She's not just some annoying fangirl who cares only about her looks and some boy. There is more to her than that as well that she has hidden from the world. Learn who she is. As she learns who you are, then you will see that your fears of people not really caring for you are real or not, because there will be nothing left to hide. Naruto replied, but how do I do it? I already made her mad at me today. In a gentle tone, the sorceress asked, what did you do to make her mad? Naruto glanced down and said, I tried to sneak out so we wouldn't had to talk about Kyuubi, and she stopped me, and I tried to avoid talking about it because of how much it hurts, and she punched me for trying to leave, and I lost my temper and yelled at her after she yelled at me, and I stormed off until I wound up here. Are you sorry that you yelled at her? Asked the sorceress. Yes, Naruto replied. The sorceress replied, then go tell her you're sorry. Talk to her as a person and explain why you were upset. Show her some trust and she will return it. I can tell that it's not what words that you said to her this morning that made her mad, it's that you could not trust her. How is she going to trust you if you won't trust her? You both are going to be here for a little while, Naruto, and you both are going to need someone to trust in that can know how you feel. Be there for her and she will be there for you. After giving it some thought, Naruto uttered the words, you know, you're right, I should trust her, thank you. The sorceress replied, no problem, if you want to talk to her then go where we ate at last night, she's eating breakfast. Naruto stood up and hurried out of the room, saying, thanks. You know, the sorceress remarked after he left, he reminds me a lot of your brother. Yes, I can see glimpses of him in Naruto. Why did you tell him I didn't love him as a person? Adora glared at the sorceress as she emerged through a side door. The sorceress laughed and replied, he's not ready for love from anyone. He needs to learn trust, understanding, and friendship before you will be able to understand love. Just be there for him and he will see that you do care for him, and that will show him the love you have. Adora looked at her husband and replied, fine, I guess you're right, I only saw some of his life, but you've seen it all. When will he learn about He-Man? The sorceress's eyes glazed over and she said, when he is ready he will learn about He-Man on his own and the connection to Adam. Listen closely though, Adora, he will have to return to Gaiden Prime. With narrowed eyes, Adora questioned, why can't he stay here? The sorceress looked at her and said, I sense an evil growing there, something more powerful than Skeletor that will reach Eternia and possibly Grayskull. I believe that only Naruto will be able to combat this evil. When the time comes you must train them both well. Princess of Power. Why call me that name, sorceress? No one has called me that since He-Man, Adora said, winced at the name. Like the sword of protection that called to me that it was time for Shira to appear, the sword of power has also called to me that He-Man will return, the sorceress remarked, placing her hand on the sword of power that was resting next to the throne in a stone holster. Adora said, I see, as her eyes widened and she turned to face where Naruto had gone. The sorceress replied, by now those two should be done talking. Why not get him to Castle Eternia and I will have the dress maiden size Sakura for new cloths. We don't want them to stand out anymore than they already are, do we? As she made her way to where Naruto and Sakura were, Adora grinned and remarked, I guess you're right. If Bo and I had brought a troop transport instead of that hover glider, then I could take both at the same time. Well, I must go. The sorceress prayed, closing her eyes, please protect them both. Darkness is growing again. With Sakura earlier, a woman wearing a white outfit similar to the ones from the previous day was standing there. When Sakura started to leave the room after taking a shower and getting dressed, she bowed and said, please follow me, breakfast is waiting for you. Sakura scowled, glanced around, and followed the woman, saying, very well. Sakura was shown to a seat as soon as she entered the room, and after another maiden brought out some toast and rice, she started to eat. She glared at Naruto as he entered the room while she was eating, and he sighed and said, I'm sorry, Sakura. This caused her to blink. What? She asked after taking a sip of water. Naruto stated, I didn't want to talk about Kyuubi because it brings up painful memories and I was worried that you would hate me like everyone else does and I lost my temper. I shouldn't have yelled at you or said what I said. Sakura asked, why didn't you trust me enough to tell me about Kyuubi? After noticing how honest he was being. Do you remember the first day we met? Asked Naruto as he sat down and turned to face the table. Sakura was perplexed and blinked, asking, what does that have to do with anything? Naruto looked up and said, the first day we met was the day you and Ino first met. I was in the park sitting on a swing by myself and I heard you crying. I came over to see who was crying. With her eyes glossing over, Sakura uttered the words, I don't remember you that day. He looked at her with some pain in his eyes and replied, I guess it wasn't that important anyway since Ino came over right after I did and dragged you over to a bench to talk, but when I first got there you were crying with your hands over your eyes trying to hide your face. I asked you what was wrong and you looked up at me first confused and then scared and you asked me what did I want in an accusing tone like you expected me to do something bad to you. Before I could say anything Ino arrived and hit me over the head thinking that I was the one who made you cry and grabbed your hand and took you away. I saw you later that day with Ino happy and I made a promise to myself that day that I would never do anything that would make you look at me scared again like you did and also never make you cry since, when? As Sakura put it, since what? Naruto took a deep breath and said, it was cloudy that day. When I saw you again with Ino and saw how you smiled and looked so happy there was just a moment when the clouds broke and the sun shined down on that bench you were both on and it made me think you were an angel or something. I guess that was the day I first got my crush on you. When I learned about Kyuubi inside of me and that it was why everyone would look at me the way they did and treat me like they did, I didn't know what to think. When I got to class the next day I honestly expected everyone to just turn on me and attack me and try to kill me. I was scared but nobody did. Everyone acted like they had before and I thought that it was because none of you knew the truth. I thought if you all learned the truth about Kyuubi then you would be like everyone else, so I thought I would do the same thing people did to me about Kyuubi. If people left me alone by ignoring me and keeping quiet about why they hated me, then I would leave Kyuubi alone by ignoring it and be quiet about it as well. I figured that way I could at least keep things the way they were and I wouldn't have to see you and the others look at me scared, especially since it was Kyuubi that killed you, Dad. When Sakura heard that, her eyes widened, and she questioned, what? With a perplexed expression, Naruto said, huh? What do you mean my dad died from Kyuubi? Sakura asked. Naruto replied, that's what your mom told me when I came by your house on your birthday when you invited the entire class for your party our first year in the academy. She wouldn't let me in and she said that it was my fault your dad was dead and slammed the door in my face. I didn't know then what she meant, but after I found out about Kyuubi I figured it was Kyuubi who killed your dad. Sakura scowled and lowered her gaze, thinking, why would mom say that when dad died when I was 5 for breaking AO? Sakura looked up at Naruto when he asked, did I do something wrong? After noticing the sadness in her eyes. When Sakura noticed his concern, she remarked, Dad died when I was 5 years old because he broke a village law. Mom never told me what law, but I guess I know now. Sakura said, it's not your fault, Naruto, you didn't ask for Kyuubi. Mom always said Dad was an idiot when she talked about him. I guess if he couldn't tell the difference between a book and a cover then he was, which caused Naruto's eyes to widen. Naruto scowled as he looked down. With his voice trembling, Naruto questioned, does that mean you don't hate me? Sakura snorts and laughs for a moment before covering her mouth and nose in shame. Naruto began to speak when she said, no, idiot, I don't hate you. Besides, Kyuubi dead now so it don't matter anyway, but I am still mad at you for not trusting in me. So to make it up to me when we get back to Konoha you are going to take me shopping and pay for me, Naruto said, lowering her gaze. With an excited expression on his face, Naruto blinked and looked down, saying, really wait, I don't have any money. Sakura responded, idiot, you're a prince, I am sure you got plenty of money. He rubbed his head and said, I don't know, Sakura-chan, I mean I would like to take you shopping but I don't know if my family is rich or if I am allowed to even use any money. If they are rich I don't really know that much about being a prince or I don't really know anything anymore. He looked perplexed. Sakura looked at him with a scowl and concluded, I guess you're right, I didn't think about that. I guess this must be an even bigger shock to you than it is to me. I mean you nearly died and woke up only to find out you're on another planet, that you're the prince of and that you have family that is alive and your dad was the strongest Hokage ever. When Sakura mentioned him and added, and I make it look good also, Naruto's perspiration stopped and he became amused. Sakura and Naruto both started laughing when Adora arrived. She saw this and remarked, well, you both seem happy. Uncertain of whether he had her name correct, Naruto's smile dimmed a bit and he said, hello again, Adora. Yes, Naruto-kun, how are you today? Adora asked. Sakura caught Naruto's eye and he said, better now you. Good, Adora said. How about you, Sakura? I'm doing better now, still a little confused about things, but the baka here is helping me. Sakura grinned as she turned to face Naruto. Adora said, well, have you both eaten? While nodding. According to Naruto, I haven't yet. According to Sakura, I was just about to finish. As she sat down, 2 plates were brought out, one in front of her and one in front of Naruto. Adora said, well, I will join you. Table manners will have to be taught to them both. Sakura has some manners for common eating but not for royal dinners. Naruto on the other hand has the manners of a pig. Adora ate her toast and rice while Naruto started eating his. Following their silent meal, Adora replied, well, now we can get started for the day. Naruto, I will be taking you first to Castle Eternia and have Iku, the captain of the guards, to show you to your room, get your training equipment and begin your training. While this is happening, you Sakura will be seeing the maidens who made those cloths for Naruto yesterday, and they will be taking in your size and making you some cloths to help you fit in here, and send the sizes to the castle as well so they can make you some training equipment as well. After I get Naruto in the hands of Iku, I will return to pick you up and bring you to Castle Eternia as well so you can begin your training as well. What's the reason we can't all go together? Asked Naruto. Adora stated, Castle Grayskull is a sacred place here on Eternia. You both are among a few that are allowed here. Because of this, when I first arrived here with my husband Bo, we only brought a small 2-person transport since we did not know at the time what the sorceress was summoning us for when she called us to inform us about you Naruto. Because of this I will have to make 2 trips. As Naruto put it, I see, Sakura asked, will we still see each other? While biting her lip. Adora glanced at Naruto and then at her and, it will depend on how much training you need. If you are about equal, then you will most likely get the same or almost the same training, so you will be able to share instructors. If not, then you will only see each other in passing. But, said Sakura. Adora replied, relax, I will arrange for your rooms will be next to each other so that way when you're not training you can still see each other if you need different trainers. Naruto asked, what exactly will our training be? As Sakura scowled and nodded. Adora let out a sigh and said, for you Naruto it will be even harder than Sakura because you will have to take extra lessons that she won't, so you can someday take over as the next ruler of Eternia. But what if I don't want to be the ruler here? Inquired Naruto. Adora was beaming and said, Naruto, I'm not a young woman, I still have years left. I hope, but I could die or be killed just like my brother. Your grandfather was. I can't have children, so that means that you will have to not only take over as the king of Eternia someday, but you will also have to have children and train them to rule Eternia and Etheria. As Sakura put it, wait, that was the other planet, right? Adora replied, yes, I am queen of Etheria and acting ruler of Eternia in place of Naruto until he is ready to claim the throne. As Sakura put it, but why 2 kingdoms? I don't understand. Adora smiled and said, when I was still an infant I was kidnapped and taken to Etheria by an evil man named Horde. He trained me to be one of his generals in his evil empire, as well as had someone use magic to make me a slave to him. My brother came when I was 18 and freed me from his control, and I joined the rebels who were opposing him and became one of their greatest heroes. I earned the trust and respect of the rebels until we freed Etheria from his control, while Adam returned to Eternia and protected it from Skeletor. Horde was killed and his empire crumbled. The people of Etheria named me the Queen of Etheria, and with the death of the Horde, Skeletor lost a lot of his support he needed to fight Adam and the armies of Eternia, and we had thought he was defeated for several years of peace, in which time Adam became king of Eternia and ruled until that day when Skeletor returned and killed Adam, and you know the rest. After that I was asked to rule both worlds while we searched for Minato, and then after his death and the thought we lost Naruto as well, I have carried on in his place. Sakura replied, but why don't you just choose someone to rule one for you instead of ruling both? Why does Naruto need to rule both from what I am understanding? Adora murmured, Etheria is different than Eternia. When I said I am the queen of Etheria, I do not mean that I rule it. At least not the way you believe. Etheria is divided into several countries that rule most of the time very peacefully. However, there comes times when a small trouble arises between either themselves or another planet. It is my job to end the conflict as peacefully as possible because I am a member of royal blood. I was given the title queen when in fact what I am is a general in charge of the armies of Etheria, much like your Hokage is the leader of your military power while the council runs the civilian. Naruto replied, so you're the Hokage of Etheria, but what about Eternia? Adora stated, Eternia is one kingdom. There are many races here who live in one area and have territories that most respect, but because of the special powers that Eternia has that Etheria and other worlds don't, there are not several countries because they all would fight for control of Castle Grayskull. There is a saying for those who know about Eternia, whoever controls Eternia controls the universe, whoever controls Grayskull controls Eternia. Naruto stated, so the sorceress is the real ruler of Eternia. Adora replied, Know the sorceress is the keeper of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. The royal family are the protectors of Grayskull and rulers of Eternia. Everyone knows this and agree with it except for those who wish to gain the powers for their own selfish desires. I told you both how this is a sacred place. As of now there are only 4 besides the sorceress who are allowed here, myself, Bo, and both of you. In the past, when Adam was alive, those who were allowed here along with him were known as the Masters of the Universe. They were tasked with protecting the secrets of Castle Grayskull, the sorceress and Eternia. Naruto inquired, so what made these Masters of the Universe so special? Would you both like to learn a secret? Asked Adora with a smile. Sakura asked, what do you mean? As Naruto blinked and turned to face her. Adora widened her grin and replied, there is something about me that is special, something that made me different than others and why I am one of the Masters of the Universe. Would you both like to learn what it is? When Sakura glanced at Naruto, he became a little concerned. Why is it a secret? Asked Naruto. Adora replied, because what made me special is something people would kill to claim for themselves. Only a few people in all my years have learned this secret, and only those who I trust with my life. I am willing to let you both learn this secret if you both promise to never reveal it to anyone. When Naruto noticed Adora's grave expression, he said, I promise. Sakura said, biting her lip, yeah. As she changed in front of Sakura and Naruto, Adora grinned, glanced around the room, and reached behind her back to draw her sword. She then declared, for the honor of Grayskull I am Shira. Both teenagers were astounded by the change and the strength they sensed. Adora quickly regained her composure and asked, now do you understand? After observing the 2 teenagers' wide-eyed, shocked expressions, Sakura inquired, will something like that happen to us? Yes and no, said the sorceress who had entered a few moments earlier. You are both destined to be Masters of the Universe. Sakura inquired, both of us, but why me? I mean, I can understand Naruto, but why me? There is more to you than you know, Sakura. When you discover your hidden powers, you will become more than you can imagine, the sorceress remarked after noticing Sakura's perplexed expression. Sakura inquired, is this that magic thing you were telling me about? The sorceress replied, perhaps you both have hidden powers that you only need to unlock, and when you do, then the universe will be yours to control as masters. But how can you be sure? Inquired Naruto. The sorceress grinned and replied, there is a reason I allowed you to remain here after Adora first knocked you out, Sakura, instead of returning you to Gaiden before you saw anything. Naruto is special as well. If I was not sure you both have something that will make you special hidden inside of you, then you would have awoke in Castle Eternia and only met me when I felt you were ready. I can tell you both will be great. Both Sakura and Naruto grinned, and Adora turned to go, saying, well, I think we should go. Naruto, I will return for you shortly. Sakura, come. As he ran after Adora, Naruto glanced at Sakura and said, see you later. Following their departure, the sorceress said, follow me and I will take you to get tailors. Sakura started following and replied, I got a question. If only the 4 of us and you were allowed here, then who are those women I've seen with the food and the tailors? The sorceress paused, turned to Sakura, and uttered, you want the truth. My grandson Minato was kind enough to teach me Kage Bunshin when he was here, and after some work I learned to make them with magic that allowed them to work individually without me having to create them, and they never dispel unless I wish them to. Sorceress said as Sakura nodded and she waved her hand, causing a woman to appear. Sakura questioned, is that something I could learn? In shock. The sorceress replied, yes, if you train hard and work hard, anything is possible. As she walked to the room where the 2 women were waiting to tailor her, Sakura grinned and thought, the more I learn about this, the more exciting it actually becomes. Alongside Adora and Naruto, Adora climbed up on a circular metal object as Naruto followed her into a large room. Adora remarked, technology is more advanced here on Eternia than it is on Gaiden. This is a personal transport craft, come on, as Naruto appeared perplexed. Naruto climbed aboard the craft and screamed, what the hell? As he grabbed a rail as it started to lift off the ground. Relax, Adora said, laughing, and flung it out of one of Grayskull's eyes. Naruto started to unwind after a short while, looked around, and inquired, why is the sky purple? Rain, it's going to rain later today, Adora said. Adora said, listen, Naruto, until I tell you to, I don't want you to tell anyone that you're a prince or related to me. Naruto nodded and looked around as the ground passed beneath them. Naruto's eyes widened and he questioned, why? Adora glanced around. Do you want people to suck up to you because you're a prince, or do you want to be treated as a regular person? With a frown, Naruto questioned, why do you not want me to tell I am a prince really? Nodding, she replied, Good call. The truth is that you're not strong enough to protect yourself from the dangers that you might face. Even though Eternia is a peaceful planet, there are those who would do anything to gain power. Kidnapping or killing you could give them that power, as well as making you think they're your friends and use you to get what they want. Which do you choose? All right, said Naruto, scowling, but how long and when do I get to call you aunt? Blinking, Adora said. Great aunt, Naruto replied. Hey, you don't look that old to me, so I am not calling you great. To me you're going to be my aunt. Adora laughed and replied, fine, aunt it is, but I would say 6 months at the earliest. We will have time to get to know each other, since I will be your instructor on the history of Eternia and Etheria. With a nod, Naruto asked, so what is my story going to be? Adora stated, you and Sakura are part of a treaty between Gaiden Prime and Eternia. Your planet wishes to join the Eternian Empire and have sent both you and her to learn about our world, while Bo is learning about your world. Naruto bit his lip and scowled, saying, so all Sakura and I actually have to lie about is the fact that I am a prince and related to you. Adora continued, and the fact you have been inside Grayskull. No one is to know that. Yet one more thing, don't tell anyone any part of your name besides Naruto. There are still those who would remember both your parents and would recognize those names, which would tell them you're the prince. After giving it some thought, Naruto pointed to an object that was beginning to emerge and said, fine, I don't like it, but I will do it. What's that? Adora replied, good eyes. That is Castle Eternia. We are about 10 miles away, but it is easy to see from the air because it is on a mountain top. Just rest and watch the scenery, okay? Naruto nods as he observes the passing ground, which includes a number of rivers and other natural wonders. Naruto was astounded by the castle's size when they arrived after Adora landed the craft. Naruto saw multiple crafts similar to the one he was on. Then he noticed a number of people passing by wearing red armor, but he was unable to identify them because the armor covered their entire body. Adora noticed that he was staring and replied, those are the royal guards. I plan to put you and Sakura in them for the first part of your training, since it's good training to get you ready for the advanced training later. Naruto nods, and Adora says, come. She then starts to move through the room, through a pair of doors, and into a lengthy hallway. Eventually, they reach the courtyard, where Naruto sees hundreds of royal guards. Your Highness, it's good to see you again. Where is Bo-sama? Said the person in black armor as he approached Adora and bowed. Adora replied, hello Iku. It's good to see you as well. Bo is currently off-world. A newly discovered planet has become interested in joining the Eternian Empire and has sent a pair of students here to train and learn about our world and empire, and Bo has agreed to stay learning about their world. Hello, I am Iku, captain of the Royal Guards. May I know your name and where you are from? Iku said, turning to face Naruto. With a nod, Adora said, my name is Naruto and I come from Gaiden Prime. Naruto turned to face him. Iku flinched at this, turned to face Adora, who was staring at him, and said, I see it is an honor to meet you Naruto. I trust that you are here to join the Royal Guard to learn our ways. Adora replied, yes, I figure that would be a good place for him and his companion to begin. Iku turned back to Naruto and asked, any special conditions I should know about? Adora replied, he's got some previous training as a ninja, though he has not got much. He's an orphan. Both his parents died the day he was born, and he wishes to earn the respect of those around him. You are free to do whatever you think would help him with his training, along with his companion, who will be here as soon as I go get her. Her name is Sakura, and she is to be treated just as equal as Naruto here. Iku replied, I understand your majesty. I will ensure that both are treated as equal with no special conditions to cheat him or her of their training. Am I correct in understanding full training is required? Adora replied, yes, though can you make sure that their rooms are next to each other since they are new here so they can support each other? Iku looks at Naruto and nods. Well, I understand, young Naruto. I will begin your training immediately. Please follow me to get your quarters and equipment, and I will place you with the rookie grunts. You will have to work hard to catch up to them, but I am sure you can do it. After grinning, Naruto remarked, I will do my best, sir. As he led Naruto away, Iku chuckled and said, I think I am going to like you Naruto. Come. Adora hurried off to fetch Sakura. Naruto was led by Iku to the east wing of the castle, where he stopped outside a room with its door open and said, this room right here will be your room if you get lost and need some help getting back here. Your room is in section C, room 9. C9, said Naruto. Iku replied, good, I assume your uniforms will already be in there. Please go and get changed so we can begin your training. As he entered the room, shut the door, and turned to face the bed, Naruto said, yes sir. He then thought, how did they get my armor already? And started to change. He went back outside after getting dressed, and Iku said, all right, Follow me and pay attention to the rules. Rule 1 is to not talk unless someone is speaking to you. Rule 2 is to always treat your commanding officer with respect and call them sir. Rule 3 is to obey orders without question. Rule 4 is to always give your all. Rule 5 is to stay in uniform during training, and when not in training, training will be 18 hours a day. Every day. Do you have any problems with those rules? With haste, Naruto said. No sir. Iku returned to the courtyard and said, good. When they arrived, he commanded, Squad 25, front and center. Suddenly, 30 guards rushed forward and formed a line. Iku remarked, good. You all obey orders promptly. Come forward, squad leader. Iku said to the guard who had moved forward from the front row, state your name, squad leader. In a male voice, the leader introduced himself as, my name is Reiko sir. This is your new recruit. Iku said to Reiko. Naruto is his name. He needs to catch up with the rest of your team. Reiko is your commanding officer. Naruto recognize and obey his commands as though they were mine. The answer was, yes, sir. Iku turned and walked away, saying, good, join your squad and begin training. When Naruto noticed that every squad member's helmet was facing him, Reiko commanded, form up on the last row. Naruto. After saying, yes sir, Naruto hurried to the back row. Since we have a new member, we need to test his skills, Reiko said when he arrived to warm up. We'll do a quick 10-mile run. Get out. Everyone but Naruto said, yes sir, and started to flee. When Naruto noticed that everyone was leaving him, he immediately started to follow them. When Adora returned to Grayskull, she discovered Sakura waiting. Sakura was wearing a red shirt similar to Adora's and black biker shorts. Sakura smiled when she saw her coming, and Adora asked, are you ready? Adora remarked, well, let's go. Naruto is probably already training, as Sakura nodded. After getting up and boarding the transport, Sakura asked, why is the sky purple? As they started to depart, Sakura asked in a perplexed tone, what? As Adora erupted in laughter. That was the same question you and Naruto asked when we left Grayskull, Adora remarked. Because of the impending rain, the sky is purple. Sakura replied, I see our clouds are usually gray or black when it's going to rain. I know, Adora said, but I had an idea that I must share with you. Never refer to Naruto as a prince or call him Namikaze or Uzumaki here. His parents' names may still be known. When Iku, the captain of the guards, heard what planet you were from, he seemed to realize who he was, but I doubt anyone else would know who he was. Why are we keeping it a secret? Inquired Sakura. Protection for you and Naruto, Adora said. Regardless of the consequences, there is always someone who would use Naruto to obtain money, power, or other resources. As she described the cover story, she said, they would use you to get to him. Sakura said, I understand and I will keep quiet. After Adora was done. Good, Adora said, now relax while you can. Sakura nods while taking in the view. Sakura was in awe when they arrived at the castle, and Iku said, let me guess, this would be the other new recruit, as she followed her out to the courtyard. Yes, Adora said. Similar to Naruto, Iku responded to Sakura's restlessness by saying, all right, so in case you haven't heard, I'm Iku, the captain of the guards, and training lasts for 18 hours. You are to give your all at all times, respect your commanding officer by calling them sir, refrain from speaking unless instructed to do so, obey their orders without question, and, last but not least, wear your uniform both during and outside of training. Do you find those rules difficult to follow? When Sakura heard the training, she was pale and cried out in fear, 18 hours. Yes, is that a problem, cadet? Iku asked. Sakura saw Adora staring at her and could feel Iku glaring at her. No, she said uncertainly, no issue. As Iku put it, no problem. What? After taking a swallow, Sakura said, no problem, sir. Good, Iku said as he turned to go. Sakura hurried after him, thinking, what have I got myself into? Come, I'll show you to your room and we can get your uniform so you can begin training today. Iku said, Squad 30, front and center, after they had changed into their uniforms and followed him back out into the courtyard. When 15 guards materialized, Iku commanded, Squad leader, step forward. When a person from the front row moved forward, Iku commanded, state your name. In a female voice, the squad leader said, Evelyn sir. This is Sakura, your squad's newest cadet, Iku said. Bring her up to speed alongside the other members of your team. Yes, sir, Evelyn said as he turned to go. Iku nodded and said, this is your squad now Sakura, good luck. When she started running with the others following, Evelyn said in a snide female voice, Cadet Sakura, get in line. You have already delayed our training for the day. Form up at the end of the squad and don't fall behind or you will be punished. Squad 30, returning to training, move out. Sakura saw this and looked around for Naruto, thinking, this is going to be hell. After 2 hours, Naruto Reiko started to move around after Naruto and his group stopped running at a river. "Okay squad, let's rest for 10 minutes and then we'll work on chakra training," he said. "Cadet Naruto, you do not appear to be out of breath as some of the rest of your squad, can you explain why?" he asked after glancing at him for a few moments. "I'm used to running more than this sir," Naruto remarked. In response, Reiko said, "Really, how much more?" After a pause, Naruto uttered the words, "Several times more sir." Reiko said, "I see, maybe you're not as hopeless as I thought. Okay, everyone, it's time to do water walking." As he moved a few feet away, "Yes, Cadet Naruto, you are able to use chakra." The answer was, "Yes, sir." "Do you know how to water walk?" Reiko inquired. "No sir," said Naruto with a sigh. Reiko said, "Excellent, are you familiar with tree climbing?" Naruto replied, "Yes sir, though I only recently learned it sir." "All right," Reiko said, "water walking is similar to tree climbing, except it's done on water rather than a tree. If you blow off too much, you sink, and if you don't sink enough, you blow off." "Okay, everyone, before we run the 10 miles back to the castle and start our taijutsu training, I would like to train for an hour on water walking." Everyone starts. As they all started working, Naruto noticed that he wasn't the only one who hadn't completed this exercise yet, and everyone said, "Yes sir." Alongside Sakura, Sakura was breathing heavily as she followed the other members of her squad as they advanced farther. Everyone stopped when they came to a river, and she collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. As she strode toward her, Evelyn yelled, "What are you doing, Cadet Sakura?" Sakura exhaled sharply and said, "Resting sir." "I don't think so, Cadet." Evelyn said, "The weakest link in this situation is you. I will not be in charge of a weak link. You are not permitted to rest until you are able to keep up with the rest of the squad. As the rest of your team takes a 15-minute break, begin performing push-ups. After that, we'll start water walking with chakra. You risk drowning if you are unable to solve it. Get going." When Sakura sensed that Evelyn was aiming at her, she positioned herself and began performing female push-ups. Evelyn then stepped on Sakura's ass and pushed her to the ground while declaring, "I won't have pussies in my unit, Cadet. You will either perform the proper push-ups or face consequences." When Sakura noticed that the other members of the squad were averting their gaze, she attempted a proper push-up, but Evelyn kicked her in the ribs and yelled, "Faster, Cadet." Sakura gasped in agony and took another, more forceful kick to the ribs before Evelyn yelled, "Move, Cadet." When Evelyn sat on Sakura's back, Sakura repositioned herself and performed one push-up. When she fell to the ground, Evelyn yelled, "Get up, Cadet, or I will punish you." Sakura felt her body giving out and tried, saying, "I can't sir." Evelyn snarled, "It's not possible you can't. I have no idea what the word, Cadet, means. You have time to train. Since you have time to backtalk me on your hands and knees, you must crawl all the way back to the castle. I'll punish you if you don't return there before the rest of your squad." She turned and started to leave, saying, "The rest of you start water walking." Sakura rose from her knees and attempted to stand up, but Evelyn's hand shot her with lightning as she said, "I told you to crawl, Cadet. I'll punish you if you don't learn to obey my commands, Cadet. You are now mine, crawl now, and I will punish you more if I discover that you got up." Evelyn waited until Sakura was almost 20 yards away before saying, "One more thing, Cadet." Sakura gasped in agony and eventually said, "Yes sir." She started to crawl with tears in her eyes. "Do you understand that if you tell anyone about how I train my squad, I will severely punish you?" With tears in her eyes, Sakura said, "Yes sir," and crawled off. "Very good squad," Reiko remarked as he stood in front of Naruto's squad after they returned to the castle. "Everyone seems to be giving it their all. This training will continue until you are able to reach the river, walk in the water for an hour, and return in less than 2 hours. You are all to watch me perform 5 kata in taijutsu. Now after you repeat those kata, I'll go around correcting them. Once everyone has mastered all 5 kata, we will use those kata to spar until 7 p.m. As he performed the 5 kata, he said, "Now watch." He then said, "Now repeat them." As he obeyed the commands, Naruto grinned and thought, "This is great." When Sakura heard people running 4 miles from the castle, she saw the rest of her squad pass by. She was crying when Evelyn approached her from behind and asked, "Cadet Sakura, what are you doing here?" "Trying to get to the castle sir, as ordered sir," Sakura said in a tearful voice. Evelyn said, "Recruit, get up. You are to run around the courtyard's interior walls as soon as we arrive at the castle until I tell you to stop. I will punish you like this if you stop before then or even speak," she said, as lightning struck Sakura out of her hand, causing her to scream in agony. Evelyn halted and inquired, "Do you understand, Cadet?" As her body ached, Sakura whispered, "Yes sir." "Carry out your orders, Cadet," Evelyn said. Sakura heard Evelyn laughing behind her as she stumbled after her squatters, thinking, "Someone, make it stop." After cool-down stretches, Naruto's squad was dismissed at 8 p.m. He headed to his room and remarked, "Man, I am tired, but it was great." He approached Sakura's door and knocked, asking, "I wonder how she is doing." After waiting for a few minutes, he knocked once more, reasoning that she must be asleep, she must be exhausted. He returned to his room, showered, and discovered a small meal on a table. He also noticed a note and read it. "Naruto, dinners here are served after duty every day and breakfast is served before duty in your room. We do this so those guard who have families don't have to worry about their families being used to gain an advantage against us if they attack the castle, so they can hide their identities. I am not sure if it was mentioned before, but we don't have 24-hour days, like you do on your world. We have 30-hour days, that is why we have so much training time in one day. I am sure you noticed the 2 chests that are on the east wall of the room. Those belong to your parents. They were packed by your parents when they had planned for you and your mother to come here after you were born. I don't know what is inside of it, since only you can open it with your blood on the seal on the front. I have placed several books that will help you learn about Eternia and Etheria on the bookshelf on the west wall, and there are some scrolls with a few low-level defensive and offensive ninjutsu from Gaiden Prime of each element, along with a few training advices. Queen Adora told me that you know the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Did you know that whatever they learn when dispelled goes back to you when they are dispelled? It can help you with your private training, so I would suggest that you leave one in your room to read the books and scrolls while you really train with your squad. Impress me and I might give you some more scrolls." Iku Naruto grinned, started eating, and then went to bed. Sakura was slowly making her way around the courtyard while Naruto was crawling into bed. Evelyn was sitting nearby, and she remarked, "Good enough, cadet." As she departed, she said, "Go back to your room and get ready for tomorrow." Sakura moaned as she took a few steps and collapsed unconscious on the ground. Sakura woke up to discover that she was in her room with the sorceress. After Sakura let out a groan, the sorceress inquired, "How do you feel?" Sakura opened her mouth to speak, but she quickly stopped when Evelyn's words returned to her. "Sakura," the sorceress said, "we'll keep whatever you tell me confidential, I swear." After swallowing, Sakura uttered the words, "I hurt, but not as bad as I was." "I know," the sorceress said as she sat on the side of her bed. "A very strong magical attack was launched at you. I realized what was wrong after sensing your plea for someone to stop it. I brought you here and used my abilities to heal you after I saw you collapse." Sakura asked, "Why is she so mean to me?" while nodding. Says the sorceress. "Evelyn, right? Evelyn is the daughter of a woman named Evil Lyn." The sorceress sighed as Sakura nodded. She was Skeletor's most dependable subordinate. Evelyn was born soon after Minato, and she spent the next 15 years being trained by her mother before she was murdered some 20 years ago. Outside of her armor, she appears to be about your age, but she is actually closer to 35, which is still very young for someone of this world. She spent more than 10 years of her life in prison after being imprisoned for fear of what her mother had taught her. After Minato passed away, Adora made the decision to give her another chance at redemption because, in reality, all she had done was receive training from her mother, which allowed her to join the guards and begin a new life. She has battled for all the respect she can get over the last 10 years, and 2 years ago, she was appointed squad leader. Her squad has become the best female squad here in those 2 years, despite the fact that she has been threatened with abuse on multiple occasions and that several members have switched squads. Although her training is harsh, it works. Another part of me believes that this might be the best place for you, but another part of me wants to speak with Adora and have you transferred to another squad. You make the decision. Would you rather give up or show her and yourself that you are stronger and more capable than she is? You have to make your own decision. I won't do it for you." After a few minutes of contemplation, Sakura scowled and questioned, "Are you sure she's the best to train me?" With a frown, the sorceress replied, "Yes," as she recalled being teased by children as a child and then being unable to do anything on the mission to wave. Sakura scowled and asked herself, "What should I do? I don't want people to think I am weak, but can I handle her training?" Taking a deep breath, Sakura uttered, "I don't like it, but I won't quit." "Good," the sorceress said, "I'll show you a spell that will help you since you chose to continue training with her by taking the difficult route. We call it refresh. It gives you some minor muscle healing so you can train longer without getting tired, and it restores half of your total chakra, stamina, energy, and endurance so you can keep going. It helps when you're running low, but you can only use it once a day until you fall asleep. Do you want to find out?" "Okay. Close your eyes and place your hands against your temples. Good. Now I want you to picture in your mind a picture of yourself standing up like you do for a henge," the sorceress said as Sakura's eyes widened and she nodded. Sakura focused and uttered the words, "I got it." The sorceress said, "All right, now visualize a white light circling your body in your mind. Beginning at your head, imagine that while you think the word refresh, Everything that the light touches is refreshed. Continue until you genuinely experience a feeling of rejuvenation in your head that spreads throughout your body until it reaches your feet. After a few minutes, Sakura focused, and a white circle of light swiftly moved from her head to the rest of her body. When it reached her feet, she opened her eyes, and the sorceress remarked, "Well done, Sakura, your first magic spell was just taught to you now. Keep in mind that you should only use it once a day and only when you truly need it and are feeling exhausted. You're not prepared to do more than that at your current level. Actually, I can only use it 3 times in a single day." Sakura nods, and the sorceress kisses her head and says, "Good, get some rest." Sakura then faints. After she finished, the sorceress scowled and covered Sakura's body with a gold light, which caused all of her wounds to heal. She then entered Sakura's bathroom and the room that connected to it, where she saw Naruto in bed. She then covered him with the same gold light before taking out a small case and a note and placing it next to his bed. She grinned and thought, "There's a long road ahead of you, but I am proud of you both." She closed her eyes, transformed into a falcon, and took off. Sakura woke up to the smell of hot food and noticed that it was still dark outside. She glanced around her room and saw a tray of food, so she hurried to get up and start eating. She also noticed a small card on her tray, which she picked up and read. "Hi, Sakura, Captain Iku told me that you are from Gaiden Prime. After talking with Queen Adora, she told us that you are from Konoha like my husband and I were. I am a healer or medic. Nin, I was told that you did not eat dinner last night after training. I guess you just wanted to pass out anyways. I wanted to welcome you to Eternia. Now, in case you have not noticed yet, in your bathroom there's another door on the other side of the bathroom. It goes to Naruto room. You have to share a bathroom. Sorry, but it does have locks on the inside, and if one door is locked the other is unlocked, so you can't lock yourself out, and if no one is in there both doors will unlock, and I don't know if anyone has told him yet about it, so you might want to mention it. Anyways, Iku gathered some books that tell about Eternia here and have placed them in Naruto room on his bookshelf, since he didn't know what state of dress you sleep in or in, so that you can read if you want. I don't know if you have been told, but we don't have 24 hours days here, we have 30-hour days. Breakfast always arrives in your room at 5 AM every day by a magic spell an hour before sunrise, using magic to get it into your room without disturbing you. Lunch is served at 15 o'clock, which in our world would have been noon. Dinner is sent to your room at 8 PM. You then have 12 hours to do as you please as long as you are ready to begin the next day and meet your squad at 6 AM at sunrise. This goes on for every 10 days, and then you are given 2 days off to do as you please. Each squad has their own 2 days off, so that way the castle is always ready to be protected should the need arise. Your first hour of getting up and ready for the day is part of your 18-hour training day, since you need to learn to take care of yourself. Good luck. Sakura read the note again as she finished her breakfast and went to her room's dresser, where she discovered 10 pairs of matching clothes that she had made for her in Castle Grayskull. On one corner of the dresser was a new armor uniform, while the one she had taken off and left in the room the day before was gone. Sakura looked perplexed, so she rubbed her head, picked up her clothes, and went to the bathroom, where she noticed the other door open and the light in Naruto's room was on. She walked over to the bathroom, where she saw Naruto's bed made, a chair by the window, and a pair of feet resting on a small footstool. Thinking, Naruto. She asked, "Why are you wearing glasses?" as she moved to the side of the chair and noticed Naruto reading a handwritten book while wearing his armor without the helmet. As Naruto jumped, he screamed, snatched a pair of glasses from his face, put them behind his back, and said in a startled voice, "Sakura-chan, what are you doing here?" Sakura said, "I came to say hello after noticing you were awake. What's up with your chest, and why were you wearing glasses?" As his smile dimmed, Naruto rubbed the back of his head and remarked, The chest belongs to my parents. They were sent here before I was born, so they would have most of their stuff already here when Mom and I could come here." Sakura said, "Oh," as she glanced at the book Naruto had dropped. She leaned down to read the cover and remarked, "Your mother's journal." "Yes," Naruto said with a sorrowful smile. "I decided to get dressed for the day because I've been up for about 2 hours and I wanted to see what my squad had packed. I'll be meeting them in an hour. The restrooms are free. I received a note from Aunt Adora informing me that we needed to share the restroom in order for me to avoid using all of the hot water." Sakura asks, "What about the glasses?" as she nods and returns the journal to Naruto. "You don't wear glasses, do you?" she asked, her expression bewildered. "Do you remember the goggles I used to wear when we were in the academy?" Naruto asked, letting out a sigh and bringing a pair of glasses back around. "Yeah," Sakura replied. "They were given to me following an accident," Naruto stated. One day, Kiba boasted about how his family could channel chakra to their eyes and ears to improve their vision and hearing. "I believed that perhaps I had a bloodline as well, so I went home that evening and attempted to channel chakra to my eyes and ears, but I sent way too much to them. My eyes were badly burned, and my eardrums burst. I woke up in the hospital with bandages covering my eyes and ears, and it took 3 days before I was allowed to leave, but the doctors declared that I had healed perfectly. I assumed it was the doctors, but I suppose the fox also healed me in any case. After I got out, I went to the ramen stand with Gigi and noticed right away that something was off. The writing was inverted, making it impossible for me to read. I started to cry because I couldn't read what was on the menu, and Gigi asked me what was wrong, Sakura said, gasping. Naruto leaned against the wall and said, I told him the words were wrong, and he calmed me down and took me back to his office and called his personal doctor. The doctor said that although my eyes and ears had healed, they were actually better now than they used to be. Gigi had those goggles made especially for me because I didn't want people to make fun of me for having glasses, and they reverse all writing so I can read. The sorceress came by last night while I was asleep and dropped these off. I could see almost as well as an eagle and hear whispers more than 50 feet away if I listened closely. However, a slight nerve ending had healed incorrectly, so writing is backwards to me because the eye interprets writing differently. When Sakura noticed Naruto's anxiety, she remarked, well, I like them, they give you a more mature appearance. After giving a slight smile, Naruto remarked, oh, I almost forgot we received some books and scrolls from Captain Iku that describe Eternia and Etheria. There are also some scrolls about ninjutsu. You can look at them if you'd like. Really? Sakura said the ninjutsu scrolls were unknown to me, but I was aware of the books. Have you looked into them yet? No, Naruto said, scratching his head, I kind of got lost in my parents' stuff. Captain Iku was ranked lower than my mother. I was mistaken to believe that a personal guard was a low-ranking individual, such as a genin or chunin. They are similar to Anbu, but if they are a royal family guard like mom was, they are truly similar to a Sannin. If she wanted to, she could make all the captains and guards jump on 1 foot all day. Only the royal family had the ability to outrank her, and even then, only in most situations. In fact, she had the power to reprimand dad if he was in danger. Would you believe that my mother would order the strongest Hokage ever? As she pictured that, Sakura chuckled and remarked, you sound like you like it here. I learned more yesterday than I did the entire time we were Team 7, Naruto said with a slight smile. In addition to learning 5 new taijutsu kata and some really amazing cool-down exercises to prevent muscle cramps after training, I also learned water walking, even though I can only stand for a few seconds before falling. My squad is different. Every time I left an opening in my guard during our group sparring, the person I was fighting would hit it first. If I didn't learn to cover it, they would stop, tell me it was there, and demonstrate how to fix it. My squad leader, Reiko, is also really awesome. Like Kakashi Sensei, he wants to help everyone reach their full potential. If he notices an issue, he points it out, but unlike Kakashi Sensei, he also gives us advice on how to resolve it rather than letting us try to do it ourselves. Sakura said, I see, with a faltering smile. But there are a few things that are different, Naruto inquired. Here, we must be serious while on duty, unlike Team 7, where we knew one another and could joke around and be friends. It's okay. But I kind of miss being able to joke around and discuss anything we want like we did on Team 7. How about you, Sakura? You have the greatest female squad out there, I heard. It's different, Sakura remarked, but we haven't really learned anything new yet. Our main reason for running was endurance. Naruto replied, oh well, from what I heard some of the others in my squad talking about when we were doing cool down, I am actually kind of envious of you. In an attempt to understand why he would be jealous, Sakura asked, looking surprised, why, I feel envious of you. Well, we are essentially academy students again right now, Naruto said, rubbing his head. Before we can advance to more advanced things, we must reach a certain level of proficiency in our actual skills. All squads 1 through 20 are advanced squads, while squads 11A20 travel off-world for advanced training and experience. Squads 1A10 are tasked with protecting the actual planet Eternia. Almost 20 squads are made up of men, and even squads are made up of women. When men reach our graduation level, I've heard, we simply focus on improving our general strength, speed, and endurance, as well as our taijutsu and close-range weaponry skills. In addition to all of that, women who graduate get to learn advanced stealth, scouting, medical, and a variety of long and close-range weapons. Some even receive magical training, and they also spend more time on other planets where they can learn new skills that will improve their overall abilities. As far as I can tell, women are trained to be Anbu, and the best of the best go on to become captains or Junin, while men strive to be primarily Chunin. Although I am aware that I will eventually receive additional training to become king, I enjoy learning new skills to kick ass and take names, and that is what you will be learning. He smiled and said, you're going to mop the floor with Ino and anybody else you want to when we get back to Konoha. Sakura inquired, do you really think so? I know so, Naruto said. I have faith in you. Sakura grinned and said, oh my, Thank you. After noticing the time, she hurried to the bathroom and shut the door, saying, I need to take a shower and get ready CYA. Before he had to depart and head to his squad, Naruto grinned and went back to reading his book. Good, everyone is here and on time, Reiko said as he hurried to the back after noticing that everyone was rearranging themselves into rows. We will resume our regular training regimen today, but I will review it with our new hire. We will begin warm-ups at 6 a.m. and continue until 7 a.m. Aim for 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 jumping jacks, 100 squats, and 100 punches and kicks with each arm and leg, job cadets. Following that, you must use chakra to adhere to the courtyard's walls as you move up and down them until 7 in the morning. After that, until 8 in the morning, we will practice hand-to-hand weapons with kunais. After that, until 10 in the morning, we will practice sword skills and learn Kata Kenjutsu. Until you move up to one of the more advanced squads, you won't get your real sword. In order to relieve the guards stationed there until 13:30, we will then sprint to Kikoda town and conduct a patrol. After that, we'll come back here for lunch from 15 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will run the 10 miles to the river we visited yesterday at 1. Do our chakra control exercise for an hour, and then come back here to review yesterday's kata. After I am satisfied that everyone can perform them flawlessly, we will learn the next 5 until 8, at which point I will dismiss you. Our training schedule for the next 6 days is as follows. After 2 days off, we resume the same training for 10 more days until we have mastered all of the kata of our current styles of taijutsu and kenjutsu. We will begin learning a different style for both once we are proficient in both. Is everyone in agreement? All of them said, yes, sir. Good, then let's begin, Reiko said. Sakura arrived at her squad to find everyone lined up, and Evelyn said, we're glad you could join us, Cadet Sakura. Be 10 minutes early for training from now on. We could be training instead of wasting time getting everyone into formation. Now, cadets, our newest member has reduced our squad's overall performance to 50%. Having anything less than perfect is something I dislike. We will go back and redo our initiation training in order to address this issue. My goal is to perform 1,000 arm and leg punches and kicks, 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 jumping jacks, 1,000 squats, and 1,000 sit-ups. Then, for 2 hours from the start of training to the finish, you will walk up and down the courtyard's walls using chakra. We won't do anything else until after lunch until you can all finish them in less than 2 hours. We'll repeat the process until lunch if, after 2 hours, none of you have finished the necessary 1,000 repetitions of each exercise. If everyone is able to complete 1,000 of each exercise, we will go out and patrol Amptu village as usual. Those who hold the squad back will have to stay after training today and perform 2,000 repetitions of each exercise in order to damage the squad's reputation. If we are unable to complete the patrol after lunch, we'll run to the river and complete our chakra training exercise. Those who don't keep up will face consequences. As she turned her helmeted head to face Sakura, she asked, does everyone understand me? Sakura swallowed and joined the others in saying, yes, sir. Evelyn started her training as well, saying, good, then get started. Sakura asked herself, why me? Sakura entered her room at lunchtime, drew her knees to her chest, and began to sob. When Naruto went to the bathroom during lunch to shut the door to Sakura's room, he noticed that she was crying and scowled. He then approached her and said, Sakura, in a low voice. Naruto asked, what's wrong? As Sakura jerked and looked up, what's causing your tears? When Sakura noticed Naruto's anxious expression, she leapt to her feet, encircled him in shock, and sobbed into his chest, saying, I can't handle it. It's really unjust. Why is she making fun of me? She sobbed more. As he started to massage her back, Naruto thought, what the hell, and muttered, shush, tell me what's wrong. Perhaps I can be of assistance. After crying for a while, Sakura started to sniff and, while still clinging to Naruto, she said, it's my squad leader. She making us do exercises under a time limit and making it where everyone in the squad is hating me for hold them back, as she described the situation of having to perform all the exercises repeatedly until lunch. Following her completion, Naruto remarked, there's Sakura-chan, it's alright. Sakura said, alright, how can it be alright? And released him as if his touch had burned. Naruto sighed and said, every squad had to do that when they first formed Sakura. When my squad was doing the patrol of the village, my squad leader was my partner and he was telling me that if I had not been able to keep up yesterday with the running and chakra control exercise, then he would have had to make the entire squad do the same thing. They have a policy of no one falls behind here. The academy and Kakashi-sensei never forced us to train hard, so it is hard on us to catch up to what the others are already at. If I hadn't have had years of running from people I would not be able to keep up. What's hurting you now is that when in the academy the guys had to go do laps around the academy, the girls had to do flower making and those lessons that you all had separate, remember? It's not your fault, it's the academy and Kakashi-sensei for not making us do more training before now. Just go with it for now, Sakura, and I promise in a few days you will have it down, and then your entire squad can go for more training. Your squad leader's not actually singling you out, Sakura. To me it sounds like she's sort of like Iruka-sensei in a way. Remember how he would call me out to stay after class when I wasn't meeting standards, or how he would make the entire class review something when I was not being serious? She's doing the same thing to you. After hearing all of this, Sakura bit her lip and scowled before asking in a doubtful tone, "Do you really think so? You don't think she's picking on me?" Naruto grinned and replied, "No, Sakura-chan, I think she just wants to help you unlock your true potential. Anyone who actually looks at you can see it. We all know you have some hidden strength. I think I still have a few lumps to prove it. When you accidentally used it, you just need to unlock it." They both laughed at the irony. Sakura gave him a hug and a sniff before saying, "Thank you, Naruto." With a head rub, Naruto said, "Thanks for what, Sakura-chan?" While still holding him, Sakura grinned and remarked, "For making me feel better." "That's what I'm here for, Sakura-chan," Naruto said, giving her a quick kiss on the forehead. Sakura stepped back, blinked, and felt the lips on her forehead before asking, "Why did you do that?" "Because you forehead so beautiful it makes me want to kiss it," Naruto grinned and rubbed his head. When Sakura heard those words, she tensed up and was reminded of the day of the team assignments. After a few moments of standing there in a daze, she noticed Naruto was leaving and asked, "Where are you going, Naruto?" She heard the bathroom door unlock a few minutes after Naruto said, "I need to eat before rejoining my squad. You should eat also, Sakura-chan." Sakura thought, "No, it can't be. That was Sasuke, wasn't it? It's just a coincidence, right?" As she sat on her bed and rubbed her forehead. Inner Sakura replied, "If you think so, but it does explain why Sasuke did a complete 180. "Where the hell have you been?" Sakura thought. "I've been trying to escape what the sorceress did to us," said Inner Sakura. With a frown, Sakura asked herself, "What did she do?" Inner Sakura stated, "She gave us some information to use for later that will explain everything about why we really came, as well as some more magical knowledge we can use. Give me a few days to practice these spells and then I will show you how to do them." Sakura pondered, "But why can't I remember it?" Inner Sakura replied, "Because she didn't want you using it until you were ready and sealed the memories away. I actually shouldn't be free to tell you this now, but I'm stronger than she thought." As she hurriedly picked up the lunch bag she had been given on the way to her room, Sakura grinned and glanced at the clock, thinking, "Damn, I got to eat before hell begins again." Following her meal, Evelyn said, "Good, you can listen, Sakura, and we were here early. Get in line and wait for the rest." She then went back to her squad. After scowling, Sakura lined up, and once her squad was in line, they started to run. When they were almost at the end of the 10-mile run to the river, Sakura felt as though she was about to faint and thought, "I guess now or never." She stopped and put her hands to her head, and a few seconds later, a tiny white light covered her. Evelyn, who was at the front, halted abruptly and looked back to see Sakura covered in magic. Once Sakura was done, she started to run and caught up to her whole squad. Evelyn exclaimed, "Interesting, she can use magic." Evelyn remarked, "Good job all of you. You all made it here and don't look completely dead. I say our squad effectiveness is now 60%, but still not up to where I want it. Now everyone use your chakra to walk out on the water. Too much you blow off, not enough you fall in. I want this learned last week. Move." After they reached the river, Evelyn started the exercise herself. As Sakura walked out on the water, Evelyn, who was coming back from the opposite side, remarked, "Good job. Seems we found something you're good at. Now run across the river and back until we all leave." Sakura grinned to herself and thought, so it did help. As she ran across the river and back 3 times before feeling dizzy and having to stop on the shore, Sakura said, "Yes, sir." Sakura felt rejuvenated after Evelyn, who had been observing her, scowled and put her hand on her shoulder. Evelyn then said, "Your chakra control is good, Sakura, but your stamina and chakra levels suck. Begin doing this morning exercise until we leave." Sakura replied, "Yes, sir," and resumed her morning workout. "All right, squad, you all did very well today. I want each of you to do the morning exercise 1 time and the rest of the squad is dismissed except for Sakura. You still have your 2,000 of each you have to do on top of the 1,000 everyone does. Begin," Evelyn said, scowling when she returned to the castle that day and noticed that Sakura had lost her energy once more. After Sakura passed out during the exercises, Evelyn approached her, looked down at her, and asked, "Why are you here, cadet?" Sakura questioned, "What?" Evelyn inquired, "Why are you here? In the guards, cadet, you do not appear to be someone who is interested in physical training or being strong, so why are you here?" Sakura stopped and said, I honestly don't know why I am here. I went on a mission with my team on my homeworld and things happen, and then next thing I know one of my teammates and me are here being told we are sent to learn about this world while some guy named Bo is learning about our world. What kind of team were you on and what planet? Evelyn asked with a frown. Sakura said, I don't know what planet I'm from, but I'm a genin ninja from the Hidden Leaf Village. Evelyn's eyes widened inside her helmet and she asked, I see, so how do you know how to use magic? Sakura began to shift and replied, Naruto, my teammate that came here with me made a friend who showed me how to use refresh just to see if I could actually use magic. I don't know who she was, and with everyone I met since I've been here I can't even remember what she really looked like either, besides she was a woman. So why didn't you use it yesterday then? Inquired Evelyn. Sakura replied, I didn't really think about it, I have only used it twice. Evelyn nods as she says, magic is like chakra in a way. The more you use it the more you can use, but also the more spells you know the more magic control you have, meaning the more you can do also. I don't know what ninja think of a skills on your home world, but the way I see it either you were weak and just scraped by, or ninja on your world are weak. I don't blame you, I blame your teachers, because a student is only as good as the teacher they have. You have potential, Sakura. The fact you're here shows that the queen thinks so as well. I think you could become as good as me, but you are going to have to work for it and want it. Nobody else in our squad can use magic. Those who can are special, and if you are willing to work hard with the squad and prove that you really want to improve yourself, then I will help you with magic as well after the squad is dismissed. Are you willing to improve? Do you really think I can do better? Sakura asked in a terrified voice as she looked up in shock in her helmet. Evelyn replied, yes, yesterday you failed by not being able to even keep up with us when you came in halfway through training. Today you did a full day of training and you only failed most of the day. You passed part of it when you used magic to heal yourself. I say in a few days you should be able to keep up with at least half of the exercises and then keep improving from there, but it won't be easy and I won't treat you special. You will have to prove yourself to yourself, me, and the entire squad. Do you understand? Standing up shakily, Sakura said, yes sir. Evelyn replied, good. Now go enjoy the rest of your day and be prepared for tomorrow, Sakura. After grinning, Sakura said, thank you, sir. Evelyn turned her head slightly and said, don't thank me, Sakura. Thank yourself. She had already begun to leave. With a smile that would not go away, Sakura walked slowly to her room. 2 weeks later, time has passed. Evelyn replied, good Sakura. Keep focusing on the book. When you can levitate the book all the way across the room and back without trouble, you will have the first stage of this spell finished. After this you have to work on stopping moving targets and then heavy targets and lastly heavy moving targets. As Sakura focused on the book, her perspiration increased, and the bathroom door opened slightly, revealing the words, Sakura-chan, you in here? Sakura became distracted and glared at the door, saying, damn it Naruto, what do you want? Naruto opened the door all the way and looked inside, where he saw Sakura sitting in a chair and Evelyn sitting on Sakura's bed without their armor. Sorry to bother you, but I was looking for the book on the Eternian history for the time of King Randor and Prince Keldor. I have a test tomorrow evening over it. Have you seen it? He asked. He noticed Sakura was dressed in a red shirt and black biker shorts. Evelyn was a woman of about 16 years old, with brown eyes, black hair, and a height of 5 feet 10 inches. She weighed about 120 pounds. But her toned body suggested that she worked out and spent a lot of time in the sun. She wore a silver shirt that exposed a portion of her toned stomach and C-cup breasts, along with black pants. When Sakura and Evelyn saw him wearing a white silk shirt, black slack pants, and a red vest that was sagging loosely, Evelyn remarked, he looks like pictures of Adam when he was younger. When Naruto saw Evelyn, he began to walk away and said, oh hi, I didn't know Sakura-chan had company. I'll just come back later. As Evelyn picked up the book she had been using earlier, she said, wait, I think this is what you're looking for. After noticing the title, Naruto remarked, yeah, I think that's it. After giving Sakura a quick glance, Evelyn said, so, you going to introduce me to your cute friend Sakura? After giving Evelyn a startled look, Sakura spoke, Evelyn, this is my teammate I was telling you about. Naruto, this is my squad leader Evelyn. Naruto bowed slightly and said, nice to meet you. Evelyn replied, pleasure. So why are you reading the ancient history of Eternia and who's testing you? Rubbing the back of his head, Naruto remarked, oh Captain Iku is supposed to make sure that Sakura and I get as much history of this world known before we return to our world as well as anything else of importance. Glancing back at Sakura, Evelyn remarked, I see, so are you and Sakura a couple? Of course not, I love Sasuke-kun, Sakura remarked. Sakura's inner voice said, idiot. After noticing Naruto's distressed expression, Evelyn remarked, really, so you wouldn't mind if I ask cutie here out then, huh? Sakura scowled and said, No, why would I? Naruto's eyes widened as he gazed at Evelyn. Good. So what do you say, cutie? You want to go out with me? I can teach you a lot about the history of Eternia and a few other things. Evelyn said with a seductive smirk as she approached Naruto and draped both of her arms over his shoulders, causing him to recoil. Perplexed, Naruto questioned, like what? Evelyn turned to Naruto and kissed him on the lips after glancing at Sakura, who winked and said, like this. Sakura yelled, what the hell are you doing? As she leapt to her feet and dragged Evelyn away from Naruto, shocking Naruto as she retreated. With an innocent glance at Sakura, Evelyn said, what, you said it yourself, you love that Sasuke guy. Why should it matter if I kiss an extremely cute guy like Naruto here? You don't mind, do you, Naruto? I mean, you're not going out with anyone, are you? Well, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head in an attempt to make sense of the situation. According to Sakura, but he's my teammate, Evelyn replied, and so am I and a whole squad of other girls. That doesn't mean we're all going to strip naked and have sex, is it? So what's wrong with me asking Naruto out? You don't like him, do you? Red-faced Sakura uttered, of course not, but. Naruto took the book and hurried off after glancing at both of them and saying, I think I need to go. What's your problem, Sakura? Why are you acting like he's your boyfriend? I asked you and him if you were with anyone and you both said you love Sasuke. So why do you care if I ask Naruto out? Evelyn turned after he left, placing her hands on the side of her hips. Sakura said, while trying to come up with something, looking shocked. Evelyn replied, you jealous? You keeping him as a backup in case your first choice doesn't work, what? Sakura let out a cry, I wouldn't do that to him. Sakura frowned as she struggled to come up with an explanation when Evelyn said, then give me one reason you think I shouldn't ask him out. She had a deadpan expression on her face. Sakura stated, Naruto is my friend and I don't want to see him get hurt when we have to leave. Sit down, Sakura, I want to tell you something, Evelyn said with a sigh. Sakura sat down gradually while keeping an eye on Evelyn. Evelyn followed suit by saying, you and Naruto are going to be here around 2 years is what I was told by Captain Iku when I asked about your prior training. That means you have 2 years to experience new things, right? So what is wrong with me asking Naruto out for friendly dates to show him the other side of Eternia? Besides training and history, you need some culture, right? See, you know I am right, and if things go past friends then there's always a chance I might go back with you and him, Evelyn said, while Sakura remained silent. Sakura's shocked eyes widened and she exclaimed, what? Evelyn sighed and replied, so do you have any reason I shouldn't ask him out? I'm not going to listen anyways since you have no claim on him, but I would like your approval. Sakura's eyes widened at this, and Evelyn grinned. I guess you're right, but please don't hurt him, he's been hurt a lot in his life, Sakura said, biting her lip. Sakura's eyes widened as Evelyn closed her eyes, grinned, and said, sure, unless he's into those type of girls. As Sakura put it, pervert. After laughing, Evelyn picked up another book from Sakura's desk and said, now, let's get back to work. After training for 3 days, Naruto was in his room when someone knocked on his door. She said, hello cutie, mind if I come in? Naruto stood up and opened the door. Naruto stepped aside, looked around, and said, sure, I guess. So what are you doing all alone in here, huh? Evelyn asked as she entered and shut the door. After swallowing, Naruto said, I was just reading some of my father's notes he left me before he died. He then hurried over, picked up the notes, placed them in a chest, closed it, and a seal began to glow. Evelyn viewed the seal and swayed her hips as she approached him, saying, I see. Evelyn put her arms over Naruto's shoulder, said, now I can see those beautiful eyes you have. She then leaned forward and kissed him after reaching up to remove his glasses and placing them in his chair as he gulped. Evelyn grinned as she put one of Naruto's hands on her breast, and Naruto's eyes widened. He attempted to back away but was pressed against the wall. This caused Naruto to blow back with a nosebleed. According to Evelyn, to innocent the first guess, I will have to change that if I want to have any fun, she scowled. When Naruto woke up, he was on his bed and turned to see Evelyn there with him. He was only wearing boxers, and he stammered, what happened, as he swallowed. Naruto became enraged when Evelyn pulled her shirt over her head, revealing that she was not wearing a bra. Evelyn grabbed his nipple and twisted it, and he yelled, OWWW, what the hell you do that for? With her shorts still on, Evelyn straddled him and grinned in a seductive voice. She said, I wanted to make sure you didn't pass out again. You got blood all over both of us and I just had to clean you up, you dirty boy. Evelyn leaned forward, kissed him on the lips once more, took his hands, and laid them on her breast as Naruto swallowed. Now where were we? She asked. A sudden, eep, was heard, and Naruto scooted away from Evelyn in time to see Sakura standing there. Sorry, she said as she hurried away. After Evelyn scowled, Naruto remarked, I'm not feeling too good, maybe you should go. Evelyn got up, grabbed her shirt, and put it back on before leaving the room, sighing and saying, very well, but only because you asked me, cutie. I will see you again. Naruto stood up after she left, went over, and locked the door before he collapsed to the ground, leaning against the wall and closing his eyes. Sakura was leaning against Naruto's room door in the restroom when she heard someone sobbing. It's dry, so it's not me crying then, who? She thought as she raised her hands to her eyes and wiped them before opening the door to Naruto's room. Sakura noticed Naruto sitting with his knees to his chest, sobbing, against the door. Sakura scowled before approaching and inquiring, what's wrong, Naruto? When Sakura saw the expression on Naruto's face, she gasped and sat down next to him. She wiped the tears from his eyes and thought, what's wrong with him? Something's not right. She then pulled him in close and gave him a hug. After holding him until he stopped crying, she noticed that he was unconscious and asked, what's happened to you, Naruto? Sakura got up, lifted him up with her magic abilities, and focused intently as he drifted toward the bed. She then walked over, put him down, covered him, and went back to her room. When Sakura woke up the following morning and went to Naruto's room, she noticed him sitting in his chair with a scroll in his hand and gazing out the window. Naruto, is everything all right? Sakura asked. After a few moments of silence, Naruto asked, have you ever felt like you betrayed yourself, Sakura-chan? While he kept his eyes on the outside. Sakura scowled, approached, and uttered, no, why? After staring at her for a while, Naruto turned to face the outside and said, thank you. As Sakura questioned, for what? After standing there for a few minutes, Sakura put her hand on Naruto's shoulder and said, if you need me, I'm here for you. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Naruto to keep staring out. Naruto pondered after she left, but how'd I know if I need you? 1 month later, time jump as Naruto and his group were running toward the river. He heard a noise outside of them. He slowed, glanced around, heard the sound once more, and said, sir. The person setting the pace, Reiko, stopped when he heard Naruto and asked, what is it, cadet? Why have you broken silence? Gazing at the precipice, Naruto uttered, I heard someone calling for help, sir. Are you sure, cadet? Reiko scowled. Naruto replied, yes sir, it bounced off the canyon walls, but I heard it, sir. I can't pinpoint it, but I know I heard a male voice say the word help. Alright squad, break up into pairs and begin searching the canyon. To our right someone might have fallen. Naruto, you're with me, Reiko said, surveying the area, before he and Naruto walked down the walls and the rest of the squad divided up and started searching. After 20 minutes, they discovered a cave, and Naruto asked, did you hear it, sir? Hear what? I didn't hear anything, Reiko inquired. Reiko yelled, Naruto, as he chased after Naruto as he dashed into the cave. When they reached the back of the cave, Reiko's eyes widened and he exclaimed, what the hell? When he discovered a massive cage set into the wall, with a white tiger inside. As Naruto turned to look around, he heard someone say, help. Turning to face the cage, Naruto questioned, what? Naruto asked, where are they? As the tiger snarled. With a shocked tone, Reiko turned to face Naruto and uttered, you can understand him. Naruto replied, I think so. He asked for someone to please save his mate and cub. He said he was attacked by a beast master. He said his mate and cub were in their den and he's been here for several days alone. Naruto uttered as the tiger snarled once more. Reiko looked at him and said, shit, this isn't good, Naruto. Since he can understand you and you him, ask him if we release him will he not attack us? Naruto added, he understands our language, sir. He said he won't attack but ask us to please help him save his family. The tiger snarled. The words, all right, stand back, came from Reiko. To Naruto's surprise, Reiko produced a blaster and blasted the cage door open. After the tiger escaped, the tiger fled toward the cave's exit as soon as he grabbed the door and opened it. Naruto turned and started to pursue the tiger, saying, come on, as he ran after Naruto. Reiko shook his head and told himself, a beast master this close to the castle, not good. I will have to report it immediately when we return. Reiko saw them running and said, contact the rest of the squad and begin following. We got beast masters in the area. He saw some of the squad members approaching and started chasing after them. As they took off after the rest of the squad, they heard him and replied, yes sir. After pursuing the tiger for approximately 4 miles, Naruto noticed that it had stopped at a cave and was sniffing the ground. Naruto landed next to him, and the tiger stated, my mate and kit scent are leading away from here along with the scent of the beast tamer. Is it possible to track them? Asked Naruto. At that moment, Reiko landed next to Naruto and uttered the words, report. Naruto replied, His mate and kit have been taken, sir. He said he can follow their scent though, but we must hurry. Reiko replied, fine, follow but do not engage. I will bring the rest of the squad and we will follow you, but I will also send a messenger back to the castle to inform them that we have a beast master in the area. Take this. As he took out a tiny cube. The question was, what is this? A tracking device. Now go, Reiko said. The tiger nods and flees after the scent as Naruto nods and looks down at it. After 7 hours, Naruto and the tiger found themselves in a wooded area. The tiger paused, turned to face Naruto, and remarked, there they are in that direction, close, I can smell them. When Naruto reappeared, he was a fox, and the tiger raised an eyebrow, saying, you are not normal. Naruto nods, looks thoughtfully for a moment, and puts his hands together. He was covered in smoke. As he ran in the direction the tiger had indicated, Naruto yipped, later, let's rescue your family. When they saw Naruto and the tiger, they soon arrived at a clearing with 10 hairy-looking humanoid creatures. One of them exclaimed, well, look what we have here, more beasts to capture. He then produced a tube that crackled to life into a whip and hurled it at the tiger, but Naruto leapt in front of the whip and took the blow to his back. The tiger watched in disbelief as Naruto leapt toward the man brandishing the whip. When the pained Naruto disengaged his jutsu and emerged in his armor, the other men yelled, shit, royal guards, and snatched up their weapons. When Naruto got up, he saw them acquiring weapons. One of them shot a laser at him, and he instinctively replaced himself with a log that was destroyed right away. 30 clones materialized and charged the men as Naruto put his hands together and uttered the words, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. When Naruto saw the tiger that had jumped at the man with the whip earlier fly across the clearing into a tree, he saw that the man was holding his bloody arm and glaring at the tiger as he charged him. The man saw Naruto charging toward him and used his good arm to strike him with the whip, hitting parts of his armor and destroying it. The man ducked and slammed his fist into Naruto's stomach after he moved in front of him and threw a punch. The man grabbed Naruto's leg, slung him over his head, and threw him at the tree where the tiger was. The tiger leapt into the air, cushioning Naruto's blow as Naruto rolled with it and kicked at his chest. The man was kicked in the side by a Kage Bunshin, which sent him flying, before he could attack Naruto or the tiger. The tiger asked, are you okay? As Naruto moaned and rubbed his head. Naruto stood up shakily and said, yeah, you. The animal replied, I will be fine, my family are in the cage on the other side of the clearing. When Naruto realized that his Kage Bunshin were almost completely destroyed, he put his hands together and exclaimed, Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Smoke filled the clearing, and more than 200 Naruto appeared. Before the blaster began to smoke, one of the men with blasters said, screw this. He then pressed a switch on the device and pulled the trigger, causing multiple blasts to emerge for more than 30 seconds, destroying 70 clones. After the clones vanished, Naruto glanced around hastily and noticed 3 men on the ground, either dead or knocked out, though he wasn't sure which was which. He observed the man wielding the whip eliminating 3 or more clones simultaneously. He was thinking, it's not enough my clones are being destroyed before they can get close. The man saw them coming and used the whip to slash the tiger in the leg, causing the tiger to stumble. Naruto jumped over the tiger and tried to tackle him to the ground. The tiger growled and charged at the man with the whip once more. A branch stabbed Naruto in the side, waking him up, and the Kage Bunshin all went up in smoke. The man sidestepped Naruto's tackle and kicked him in the ribs, knocking him into the air. He then punched him in the side of the head, knocking him unconscious, and kicked him again, sending him flying into the woods and into a fallen log. The man brandishing the whip drew it back and attempted to kill Naruto, but the tiger leapt in front of him, took the blow to the side, and collapsed to the ground, bleeding. Pack up camp, we got to get out of here, the whip man snarled. What about them? Inquired one of the men after saying, leave them, the guards will stop to heal him and give us a chance to escape, and the tiger's dead anyways, let's go. He climbed up on a transport that had the cage on it and set it down. The other men hurriedly gathered the items scattered throughout the camp, boarded the transport, and started to push it away. He looked at Naruto and asked, panting, why? Why what? Naruto, who was by his side, uttered in agony. Why are you helping me? Why take those attacks for me? The tiger asked. Grabbing the branch, Naruto grunted and started to pull himself off, falling to the ground panting with a sickening liquid sound. He held his side and winced as he said, I don't want you to lose your family. I've been alone my whole life until recently. I don't want you to have to live the same life as me. The tiger inquired, what's your name? With a facial expression, Naruto uttered, Naruto Prince Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I see, so that is why you can understand me. I am Kase, your highness, the tiger said, his eyes widening. After landing on the log from which Naruto had fallen, a falcon transformed into the sorceress and uttered the words, Be still both of you and I will heal you. When he saw who had shown up, the tiger's eyes almost dropped out, and Naruto flinched, asking, "Sorceress, what are you doing here?" "I was watching you from Castle Grayskull. I waited to see how things went, and when I saw you both get defeated I flew here to help." The sorceress held her hands above Naruto and Kei's, and as their wounds started to heal, a gold glow covered them both. The glows stopped, and Naruto shakily stood up, checking his side to see it healed but sore. Kei's got up slowly as well and began to walk away, saying, "Thank you, but I must save my mate and kit." The sorceress replied, "If you couldn't defeat them once, how will you defeat them now?" Gazing downward, Kei's uttered, "I will find a way." As Naruto began to move, the sorceress remarked, "And you Naruto, you know you can't defeat them as you are now." Kei's eyes widened and his ears slightly flattened as Naruto turned to face her and said, "I have to help him. I won't let him lose his family by doing nothing. True strength comes from protecting that which is precious to Kei's. His family is precious. I will help him save them, even if it cost me my life." Naruto then began to walk away. When the sword of power materialized in her hand, the sorceress grinned and said, "Then take this." Turning, Naruto scowled and questioned, "What good will that do me?" As Adora emerged on a white horse galloping through the woods, another voice astonished Naruto and Kei's by saying, "It is the magical sword of power, Naruto." "What are you doing here?" inquired Naruto. Adora stated, "Your squad leader Reiko sent word back to Castle Eternia about you squad encountering signs of a beast master operating near the castle. He said you were following the trail of the tiger. I met up with him and took the locator for the tracking device you have from him and came myself. I assumed that if you were giving him that then he is ready for it." The sorceress stated, "He has been ready for it since the day he came to Eternia. I was waiting till he actually needed it before giving it to him." Naruto responded, "Will you please tell me what is going on? We need to rescue Kei's family." Kei's, who was seated, glanced at Naruto before turning to face the two women. The sorceress looked at Naruto and said, "This is the magical sword of power. It belonged to your grandfather Prince Adam. It was also what transformed Adam into He-Man and what turned his companion Cringer into the mighty Battle Cat. With it you will gain the strength. You and Kei's both need to rescue his family from the Beastmasters. It is your choice if you are willing to claim what is yours." That sword transformed the legendary cowardly Cringer into the legendary mighty Battle Cat. With it I could rescue my family, Kei's thought, his eyes widening. "What do you think, Kei's? Do you want to use this to save your family?" Naruto asked, scowling as he examined the sword. "May I see who you really are under that armor, your highness?" Kei's said, glancing at Naruto. Kei's eyes widened as he gazed at Naruto's appearance, then into Naruto's narrowed eyes, and he said, "You look like your grandfather. If you will help me save my family I will become your partner as Cringer was for Adam, your highness." Naruto turned to Adora, who nodded, and reached up to remove the helmet. The sorceress stepped back as Naruto scowled and snatched up the sword, saying, "Take it and use it to protect what is precious to you. When you need the help just ask and you shall receive the strength you need with my blessings and by the power of Grayskull." Before pointing her sword at her horse, which changed, Adora reached behind her and uttered, "For the honor of Grayskull I am Shira." As he grew 4 inches and his armor was completely removed, his body became more muscular, and he pointed the sword toward Kei's, who closed his eyes. Naruto raised the sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull I have the power." As the energy from the sword shot at Kei's, he grew larger and red armor appeared on top of him as he roared. As the sorceress transformed back into a falcon and took off, Naruto turned to face Kei's and said, "You are now He-Man, defender of Castle Grayskull and champion of Eternia. Good luck." Shira replied, "Come He-Man, we must save Kei's family and stop those Beastmaster." "Hi Shira," He-Man said as he mounted the powerful Battle Cat, and Shira shot skyward on Swift. After 20 minutes, Swift landed on the road as the Beastman's transport approached her and came to a stop. The men on board cried out, "Shit, it's Shira," and started scanning their surroundings and getting ready for combat. They went white when they saw He-Man on a Battle Cat and heard a roar behind them. "Now what do we have here? Some Beastmaster who attack and capture animals," He-Man said after getting off. "How you supposed to have been dead? You died with Skeletor and King Adam," one of them said in a terrified tone. "Surrender or be killed. You are guilty of capturing of protected animals of Eternia. The punishment for this is 30 years in jail. Your choice," Shira said as 3 mass troop transports appeared in the air, circling the Beastmaster's transport while the 60 guards on board had mounted lasers ready to attack. The Whipman was the only one of the Beast men who didn't immediately throw their weapons to the ground. Then he pointed to the cage containing Kei's mate and cub and drew out his whip, saying, "I would rather die than be locked up like one of those dumb animals." The Whipman attempted to attack Battle Cat after he roared and charged at him, but all he managed to do was strike the armor Battle Cat, then opened his mouth, clamped down on the man's head, and bit off when he tackled him. He-Man said, "Relax, we are here to release you so you may return to your mate K's," as he approached the back of the transport, shocking everyone. A white and orange cub and an orange tiger were in the cage. "Where is K's?" the orange tiger inquired. When He-Man turned to face Battle Cat, he said, "Close by and I will take you to him." As the cage door was opened, the tiger followed his gaze and said, "I see, thank you, He-Man." She then bent down, grabbed the cub with her teeth, lifted him up, and removed him from the cage. She-Ra mounted Swift and rode toward Battle Cat, who was burying the head he had bitten off, saying, "Please take these men away to custody as well as this transport and that body, He-Man. Let's reunite this family." As he met Battle Cat's eyes, He-Man said, "Battle Cat, come, let's unite this family." The Battle Cat nodded and approached. "May I carry your cub so we can reunite you quicker?" the man asked, getting on his back. With a nod, the orange tiger brings the cub over and places it in He-Man's hand with a roar. The Battle Cat took off, followed by the orange tiger and Swift, leaving a stunned group of guards behind. They came to a stop in a clearing about 2 miles away, and He-Man looked at She-Ra and asked, "How do I go back to normal?" She-Ra replied, "Since you have the sword on your back, send chakra into it. Once it absorbs 1/10 of your chakra, it will return you to normal as well as Battle Cat." With a nod, He-Man quickly returns to his normal form, but his armor is gone, and She-Ra remarked, "That's strange." Naruto questioned, "What?" She-Ra stated, "You kept your growth spurt from your transformation and your armor did not return." Looking down, Naruto rubbed his chest and stomach and remarked, "My clothes feel tighter, also not just height-wise but also like my muscles got bigger, not much but more than I had before." With a sigh, She-Ra turned to face the Battle Cat that had returned to K's. Naruto grinned and followed her gaze, finding K's on his back with his mate on top of him and the cub on his chest. "Well, I guess we should go," Naruto said, starting to leave. Then K's yelled, "Wait!" Turning around, Naruto questioned, "What?" K's raised his head and said, "I am yours, your highness. I swore that I would be your companion if you helped me save my family." "No, you have a family to take care of. You can serve me by protecting your family. They need you, I don't," Naruto said, closing his eyes, before turning and leaping into the trees in the hopes of getting out of the area. She-Ra started to return to Swift when K's said, "She-Ra, I will keep what I saw and no secret, as will my mate and cub, but please inform his highness that it isn't as simple as he thinks. We have both bleed for each other to protect my family. He took attacks for me and I for him. He ordered me to protect my family because of his actions. We are blood brothers. I trust him with my life and the life of my family, and I would die to protect his." She-Ra glanced at him and said, "You can speak our language now. I assume that it was a change like his change in size. I will tell him, but I can't force him to change his mind." K's replied, "Tell him if he ever needs me that I am ready. I will be at my den with my mate and cub. Tell him thank you." As she rode into the woods and changed back into Adora, She-Ra said, "I will." After an hour or so, she discovered Naruto leaning against a tree in a clearing. She dismounted Swift and inquired, "Are you okay?" Naruto glanced at her and said, "I'm tired. I used a lot of chakra fighting those men earlier, and then the blood loss from my wounds the sorceress healed. Yeah, transforming into our other self is unusual. How do I explain it? I know. Have you heard of the 8 celestial gates that everyone has?" Adora said as she approached and sat down next to him. "Dad's journal mentioned something about a chunin named Guy could use them. I never heard of them myself, but Dad said it was like a double-edged sword, a power boost at the cost of body damage." "Why?" said Naruto, rubbing his head and squinting his eyes. Adora replied, "Yeah, that will work the transformation from ourselves into He-Man or She-Ra increases our speed, strength, agility, reflexes, and regenerative abilities by 10%. We can fight longer and harder than we used to when we are in those states, but that does not make us invincible. There have been fights where even as She-Ra I have lost and would have died had it not been for my allies." Naruto looked at him and said, "Then besides that, what's so good about using them then? Why was sorceress so sure that me and K's using it would be enough to fight those beast masters?" "Because the energy doesn't run out," Adora grinned, causing Naruto to blink and utter the words, "Huh." Adora replied, "How far do you think K's could run before you got tired?" "Well, if what happened earlier was any way to judge, I would say maybe 8 or 9 hours. Why?" Naruto said, rubbing his head. According to Adora, as Battle Cat he could all day for several days and not get tired. With a frown, Naruto questioned, "How is that possible?" According to Adora, when we transform our bodies only get those 10% bonus. You get that right? To which Naruto replied, "Yeah, I got that." Adora replied, "Alright, After we get those 10% bonus, your body doesn't get any stronger than that. Now your energy levels are always being pushed to your max because of the sword of power. You literally will never run out of energy or tire out from using energy. Naruto responded, then why not always be our other selves? Why transform back and forward? Adora replied, because like the gates, it's a double-edged sword. Naruto, you know how you said you were tired, right? When was the last time you ate? Naruto replied, this morning before leaving the castle. Why? Adora continued, your body when transformed you use twice as much food as it normally does. So even though you have unlimited power, your body will get sluggish and tired the longer you use it because you are using your food stores quicker, and when they run out, even if you are still transformed, will still shut down from hunger or thirst or whatever it is your body needs. That is why I only use it whenever there is a battle that I know I will need it for. That is why I train myself constantly, and why you need to constantly train, so that way you not only make yourself stronger so you won't have to become He-Man again, but also so when you do become He-Man he will be stronger than before also. Now do you understand? Naruto paused for a moment and replied, yeah, I think I understand. Sorceress knew that if I transformed I could use my Kage Bunshin over and over again until they were defeated, but the longer I used it the more tired I would be, also because I'm hungry. Adora replied, yes, I think you got it now. You understand why He-Man is known as the strongest man in the universe. It's not because he is actually stronger than everyone else, it's because he never runs out of energy, and everyone who challenged him in the past always tired out before they forced his body to give out. There is one other thing I should mention. The unlimited power will only work as long as you actually are in contact with the sword of power. If it is not touching you, then it won't keep refilling your reserves. Naruto let out a sigh. So what now? I mean, with He-Man showing up and with what happened earlier with me helping Kase and his family, people are going to be looking at me. Adora continued, that is why you need to be careful about revealing your other identity. Now here is what you're going to do. If people ask, say you came across the camp and was injured, the Beast Masters will tell how they hurt you and left you for dead. I will say that I found you when He-Man showed up along with Shira and they chased after the Beast Masters. I will say I had took you to a healer I know to get fixed up. Do you think I can sleep a little while I'm tired? Naruto said, nodding. After taking a small cereal bar out of one of her pouches, Adora said, eat this, it may not taste great but it will fill you up the rest of the day. After eating the bar, Naruto said, thank you. Adora replied, no problem. You do have something you should know. Kase has called you his blood brother. Now that is not something you can simply ignore. He has sworn to protect your family as you have sworn to protect his. He is a very noble creature and I would accept him into your life if I was you. He said if you need him that he will be at his den with his maid and cub. With a frown, Naruto uttered, I don't want to see him get hurt and his cub growing up without his father. It still hurts none of us being there for you. I mean, Adora shared this sorrowful statement. You didn't know about me though, Naruto remarked. Adora replied, I should have asked to see their bodies and checked Kushina to see if you were still there, but I didn't. I cried myself to sleep so many nights over the loss of my brother and the rest of my family. After giving her a sorrowful glance, Naruto questioned, does the pain ever go away? Adora turned to him and said, eventually it can be dulled and replaced with happiness if you don't close yourself off and embrace love and life. Naruto said, thanks. Adora remained quiet for a while and inquired, Naruto, Captain Iku said you have been acting strangely for the last month. He said you hardly ever go to your room and that you've been seen leaving the castle at nights, but nobody has figured out how you're actually getting out. They just see you when you cross the valley. With a frown, Naruto uttered, yeah, what of it? Is there anything wrong? Adora inquired. Naruto looked up and said, There's some stuff I am working on myself, some personal stuff that I need to figure out. I started out spending time in the library learning about the world here and its people, but I can only stand to read so much, and I usually now leave a Kage Bunshin to read something as a distraction while I use this secret passage I found. I won't tell you where it is or how I found it, so don't ask, but it takes me to this big open cliff area that is below the actual castle. I found all kinds of little machines that were cool and I sometimes tinker with them trying to figure out what they are, but I came across some notes in Dad's and Mom's chest and I found a couple of jutsu I don't want to tell anyone how to use, so I've been working on learning them on my own, but I am not very far into using them. Adora nodded and continued. So you found Man-at-Arms' secret lab. You're the only person who could enter that lab since Man-at-Arms was your great-grandfather on your grandmother's side and it requires blood access to get in it. With a frown, Naruto questioned, so how do you know about it? Adora replied, Adam took me there a few times. Don't worry, I'm not mad or anything since it is your castle and your kingdom. I just wish you would tell me when you are leaving so that way I can give you a bodyguard to watch you. Naruto replied, which is why I won't tell you. I don't need a bodyguard, I can take care of myself. When he winced, Adora placed her hand on his side and pushed harder, asking, really? With a scowl, Naruto uttered, okay, I'll consider it. As she mounted swift and extended her hand to Naruto, Adora remarked, "That's all I can ask now, let's get home." Naruto responded, "I've never been on a horse before." Adora replied, "The next time your squad gets its days off, you and I will spend a day of learning to ride one, okay?" "Sure," Naruto replied. As they rode off, Sakura was sitting on his bed when Naruto entered his room. She grinned as he entered, got out of bed, and ran over to hit him in the head while yelling, "Baka, what were you thinking?" Naruto rubbed his head, blinked, and said, "Huh." As she looked at Naruto and saw that he was now slightly taller than her, Sakura crossed her arms and remarked, "The entire castle was put on high alert when your squad came back and said that beastmasters were operating near the castle. Did you grow?" "Yeah," Naruto said, removing his shirt, throwing it in the hamper, and grabbing his ribs with a wince. Sakura, who was focusing on Naruto's chest and abs, noticed the wince and inquired, "Are you okay?" in a worried tone. Sakura covered her mouth as Naruto, with his side covered, said, "I got speared in my side by a tree when one of the beastmasters kicked me into the woods. If Kase hadn't taken the next hit, I would be dead right now." After a few moments, she asked, "How are you healed so fast, and who's Kase?" after noticing the scar on Naruto's side. Kase is this white tiger whose family was captured by the beast tamers. He was being held in a cage in a cave by them while they captured his mate and cubs. Somehow I was able to understand him, Naruto said, still shielding his side with his arm. They turned to see a woman with brown hair and red spots on her cheeks when a voice behind them said, "That would be my fault." "Who are you and how did you get in here?" Sakura inquired. As she walked over and ran a glowing green hand across Naruto's side, the woman said, "My name is Rin. I came to check on your wounds, Naruto, and make sure that you healed right after the sorceress healed you. I am one of a few who know who you really are." Queen Adora came by and informed me about what happened after she dropped you off so I could come check you. I am a medic. After a few moments, Naruto saw Rin take a step back, and his eyes flitted as he felt the chakra healing the wound on his side. "What was that? I thought sorceress healed it all," he said. Rin stated, "Sorceress healed you enough where you wouldn't die, but the problem with using magic to heal is that it heals quickly but doesn't always heal correctly. Sometimes skin heals inside of the wound but they don't connect to the already existing skin, so it feels like you got a circled paper cut." Glancing at her, Naruto remarked, "Thanks. What did you mean when you said it was your fault that I could understand Kase?" Rin looked up and said, "I was the nurse who took care of your mom during her pregnancy. I was also the one who brought your parents' chest here to Eternia for you. That was where I was when you were born. You weren't supposed to be born for another week, so your parents asked me to bring those things and to come set up the nursery for you. If I would have been there, then your mom might have lived, since I knew about the risk that your mom was in having you, since I knew about her condition. Minato-sensei didn't trust her care to anyone else but me. As for what I meant about how you were able to understand him, I am also your godmother, Naruto. When I returned to Konoha and found out your parents were dead, I had no idea you had been born and assumed you had died with Kushina, so it's my fault you were left there. I returned to Eternia and informed them of all three of you passing. I am so sorry." When she wrapped herself around Naruto as she wept. Sakura saw Naruto's bewildered expression and mouthed the words, "Hug her," as he tensed up for a moment. After giving Rin a hug, Naruto said, "I forgive you. You didn't know, so I don't blame you." Rin grinned as she stopped and said, "Thank you. As for how you can understand the tiger, like I said, I'm an Inuzuka and our family bloodline allows us to understand dogs. For some reason I couldn't understand dogs, but I could understand cats. I was disowned by my parents and my sister was named clan heiress because of this fact, and so I didn't have much to fall back on. When I was asked to be your godmother, I wanted to give you a gift, and so after telling your parents what I wanted to do, they let me give you a small shot of my DNA into you when your mom was just 3 months pregnant. Those whiskers on your face is from that. I was hoping you would be able to understand cats, and it appears that you can." Rin looked perplexed as Naruto rubbed his head and remarked, "I thought the whiskers and being able to understand cats had something to do with Kyuubi." Rin said, "Kyuubi? What does that fox have to do with anything?" Sakura and Naruto exchanged shocked glances. Sakura waved her hand in front of her and said, "Nothing, in a hurry." Rin replied, "Not going to work you too? What does Kyuubi have to do with you, Naruto?" When he looked down, Naruto sighed and remarked, "Dad sealed Kyuubi in me the day I was born at the cost of his life." Swiftly replied, "But it's not there anymore. Sorceress got rid of it when she healed him from Kakashi-sensei attack." With narrowed eyes, Rin questioned, "What do you mean Kakashi attack?" Rin looked at Naruto again. Gasping when she saw the scar on his chest, she became enraged and exclaimed, "Chidori, he stabbed you with the Chidori." "It was an accident. I was trying to save Haku's life. When Haku went to save Zabuza's life from the Chidori, I was able to shove Haku out of the way, but I got hit instead." Naruto frantically described the incident while waving his hands. Rin looked at him and said, "That idiot sensei told him never to use that damn jutsu again and it nearly cost you your life. When I see him again I am so going to kick his ass." Inquiring, Sakura bit her lip and said, "How do you know Kakashi sensei?" Rin sighed and said, "I was on the same team with him under Minato sensei along with my husband. We had a mission that went wrong and everyone thought my husband had died after saving Kakashi and my life from an earth attack. His final request was for me to replace the eye Kakashi just lost with his newly awakened Sharingan. Sensei showed up in the end after though he died and he sealed his body in a scroll. The Uchiha clan refused to let him be buried in the Uchiha graveyard, so Minato sensei and Kushina both went to prepare his body for burial in a public grave. When they unsealed his body, Kushina found he was still barely alive and both thinking quickly resealed his body and brought him to Eternia where the sorceress healed him. It took him several years to recover completely and I was told the truth and started coming here to help him recover. We were going to tell Kakashi the truth, but since the Uchiha clan was always after Kakashi to have his eye removed and destroyed and only my husband's final request was keeping them from being able to do it, we decided to let everyone think he was dead, especially when it was decided when sensei made the choice you were supposed to come here instead of being raised in Konoha so that way we could help protect you. I guess they were right, the road to hell is paved with good intentions." Naruto scowled as he reached behind him and removed the power sword from his back, causing all three of them to gape at him. She said, "Naruto, where did you get that sword?" She pondered. "That's the sword that was at Castle Grayskull in the throne room." Naruto replied, "A friend, is there anything else we need to do right now? I don't mean to be rude, but I used up most of my chakra earlier and I am really tired." Rin responded, "Yes, after today you will be moved to Squad 1 under Iku. Officially it is because of your skills you displayed. The real reason is since the entire castle was put on alert thanks to your actions in helping to apprehend those beast masters. They're going to be watching you and that is something we don't want right now." "Are you just moving me or are you moving others?" scowled Naruto. Rin responded, "Do you think anyone else deserves a promotion? I can mention it to Iku if you do." Naruto replied, "Yeah, my squad leader Reiko, he's a good man and he's went out of his way to help me fit in, and also he's a good leader. When I broke rank to tell them I heard someone calling for help, it was him who believed me and had everyone look for the source of the voice. It was also him who gave me the tracking device so Adora could come and help me save Kei's family, and he was also the one who did something to the door with this funny looking device that blew the door open." Rin replied, "A blaster. All squad leaders are given one when they reach that rank. Reiko is a good man and Iku has been planning to move him up in ranks, but he is not ready for first squad. He is ready for 7th squad though, and since that is the squad that is mostly made out of those who he is friends with, I think he will like that. I will tell him that you recommended him for first squad though, and tell him the reason Iku is choosing you for first squad is to learn the extent of your special ability to talk to animals and also to evaluate you to see where you should go. It is not unheard of and won't raise too many questions." As Sakura struck him in the head to silence him, Naruto scowled and questioned, "What about Sakura-chan? She's been working really hard and has improved greatly, and with her magic skills Sakura responded, "Baka." Rin laughed and said, "That brings back a lot of memories, and I bet I know what squad you're on, and I bet I can guess about your third teammate. Let me guess. Your third teammate was the Rookie of the Year who has a lot of fangirls, and you Sakura are one of them, and you're the class idiot who everyone ignores, and you're in love with Sakura. You members of Squad 7 inches," causing both teens to gasp. Sakura asked, "How did you know that?" as she and Naruto were perplexed. Rin replied, "You're both cursed. The original Team 7 was the Rookie of the Year Orochimaru who had lots of fangirls, the fangirl of the Rookie who was Tsunade, and the class idiot who was Jiraiya. I assume you both know of the Sanins, right?" Rin and both teens give a nod. The next Team 7 was Hitaki Kakashi, who was the one who had the fangirls including me, and then the dead last idiot who is now my husband. And now we have you both and your third teammate of Team 7. You both got cursed just by being put on that team. Who is your third teammate?" Rin said, wrapping her arms around her. She said, "Sasuke Uchiha, the last Uchiha in Konoha." Obito scowled and grinned as he remarked, "Yeah, I heard about that. Best thing that could have happened to them." Sakura and Naruto were shocked and Rin held up her hand and said, "Let me explain before you both blow a gasket. The reason I said that is because in truth they deserved it. As you can figure out, since my husband gave Kakashi his Sharingan, he is a Uchiha also. The Sharingan that the Uchiha clan is famous for steals the jutsu and hard work of others in an instant. They do not care if it is an enemy or an ally, they steal it off of as long as they believe they are better than everyone else. Any member of the Uchiha clan who does not awaken the Sharingan is basically treated as garbage by their own clan. Both my husband and I saw a man and woman in the Uchiha clan who never activated the Sharingan, but their only child did when he was 5 years old. They took the child from the boy's parents and told the boy his parents were dead and forbid them from ever going anywhere near him again. That was not an isolated incident either, it happened all the time. Those who had the Sharingan were raised to believe that anyone without it should be killed. That is one reason we both hate the Uchiha clan. Another reason is because they are nothing but cowards. Do you know how many Uchiha died when Kyuubi attacked Konoha? When you get back to Konoha, look at the memorial stone and you will find exactly 0 died that day. The reason is they stayed in their homes and let the rest of the village fight the Kyuubi. Naruto questioned, why would they do that? Why wouldn't the Uchiha help defend Konoha? After both teenagers were startled. Both teenagers gasped when Rin looked down and said, because they released the Kyuubi on Konoha in the first place. You lie. Sakura said. That can't be true. Rin looked up and said, the sorceress, after I returned telling everyone that Minato, Kushina and Naruto died, used her powers to try and see if there was any chance they could have been alive. She discovered a single Uchiha who hid behind a mask, but he had the Sharingan, using it to summon the Kyuubi just like one of their ancestors did at the Valley of the End against the Shodem Hokage. She recorded what she found into a crystal and gave it to my husband, and we still have it and can show you if you want. That is 2 of the reasons why I have no love for the Uchiha clan. The last is because of the secret of the Sharingan. With a frown, Naruto questioned, what secret? Rin glanced up to the ceiling and said, the Sharingan is activated when Uchiha gets in a fight against someone who is stronger than them, and when they realize there is no way for them to win the fight, it activates. After that you have to fight someone faster than you to advance it to the 3rd level. The 4th level is activated by guilt from killing your best friend or someone you love, causing both teens to pause in disbelief. Rin looked at them and replied, now do you understand why I hate the Uchiha clan? When my husband lived with them they treated him like shit. After they thought he died they spat on his grave, caused the death of 2 people I cared for who took care of me and my husband when our own families turned against us, and all so they can feel better than others so they can kill their friends. Rin observed the 2 teenagers in disbelief and changed the topic and replied, well, let's forget that for now. As I was saying about the curse of Team 7, the rookie of the year always turns out to be gay and is secretly a friend to the baka, though neither will admit it. The fangirl always switches to love the idiot who loved them for years, and the idiot sacrifices his happiness and nearly their life to save the woman he loves. I won't tell you what happened with Tsunade and Jiraiya, but it's nearly as tragic as what happened with me and my husband. Sakura scowled as she turned to face Naruto, who responded, so you're implying that Kakashi-sensei is gay? Rin laughed and replied, yay, he's gay, and it took my husband nearly dying to save my life before I would admit that Kakashi never would care for me even after I walked in on him and his best friend having sex. She was shaking. Rin gave a grin and stated, luckily my husband was too stubborn to die, but you should realize, you're both screwed. History is repeating itself, and sooner or later you both are going to follow in our footsteps, and you will fall for Naruto and he will nearly die. Naruto pointed to his chest, where the scar was, and said, already did, see. Rin replied, nope, you haven't nearly died to save Sakura yet, just wait. I won't ever fall for this baka. Sakura scowled. Rin replied, I said the same words about my baka anyways. Sakura, since history is repeating itself, how about I continue the torch? Tsunade was trained by the best medic in Konoha. Before here I was trained by Tsunade, who was the best medic in Konoha, and if you want I can train you to be a medic as well. What do you say? Are you only doing it for tradition? Asked Sakura, scowling. Rin replied, actually no, I saw you watching me as I healed the baka here. Receiving a chuckle from Sakura and a, hey, from Naruto as she continued, I know you're curious about it, and I saw the reports your squad leader has been writing about you. She said you have nearly perfect chakra control and your reserves are increasing drastically, and she has been teaching you magic, which is good, but magic is only good in certain situations. The physical training is good, but you still need other skills to save the life of your friends and comrades. If you're interested I can teach you one of your days off and give you a few extra books with medical knowledge you will need. What do you say? Tired of being the weakest link on your team? With a growl, Naruto declared, she's not weak. Sakura blushed slightly as she said, but I am the weakest on our team. Naruto, you and Sasuke saved Kakashi-sensei life, while all I could do was stand and watch. You and Sasuke-kun also fought Zabuza and his apprentice while I was unable to do anything, and you nearly died. If I knew some medical skills I could have saved you instead of bringing you here. Rin replied, good, it's decided. I will start putting books in your room on medical knowledge. What about her changing squads? Inquired Naruto. Rin stated, For now I think she would do best under her current squad until she memorizes the first 5 books I need her to read. She won't be able to learn anything else I need to teach her. It will take her a few weeks to do that, and by then she might be ready. Sakura looked at Naruto and said, "She's right, Naruto, I'm stronger now than I have ever been, but I am still the 3rd weakest on my team. I'm getting stronger and moving up, but it will take time. We got time to get stronger before we have to go back." "Fine." Naruto yawned and said, "Damn, I'm tired." He bit his lip. Rin replied, "Well, get some rest you as well, Sakura. With what happened today, I wouldn't be surprised if they increase everyone's training starting tomorrow." To which Sakura replied, "Yes, Rin-sensei." As she began to walk away, Rin grinned and said, "Get some rest." Sakura replied, "Rin-sensei, can I talk to you in my room a moment? It's about my training." As she followed Sakura to her room, Rin noticed Naruto glance at her from his bed, where he had already fallen asleep, and respond, "Sure." After shrugging his shoulders, Naruto reclined to sleep. Rin asked, "So what did you want to talk about?" as she shut the bathroom door behind her when she arrived at Sakura's room. "Is there any way you could be wrong about history repeating itself? I mean, I love Sasuke-kun, but," Sakura said, biting her lip. Rin replied, "But you're starting to get feelings for Naruto." Sakura glanced down and replied, "I don't know, I mean, I thought he was always the idiot of our class. We were always told as children to stay away from him and that he was a bad person. I didn't know why until recently when I learned about the Kyuubi, and it made me start seeing things about him that I never noticed before. Like he smiles all the time, but it's not his real smile. I've seen his real smile, and while it's not as big as the one he usually wears, it makes me happy seeing it. Then there is the fact that he's actually a lot stronger and smarter than I thought he was. You should see how cute he looks with his glasses when he wears them, but he's also very fragile. I can't explain it, but I held him once when he was crying. I don't know why he was crying, and the next day he acted like it never happened, but now you see the real him and you're confused," Rin said, casting a downward glance. Sakura puckered her lip as she replied, "Yeah, what should I do? Am I falling for him, or is it just that I feel guilty over treating him wrong when we were younger, or what?" Rin embraced Sakura and said, "Listen to me, Sakura, what I said about history repeating is only possible if you really want it to happen. Life is unpredictable. Look at me, everyone in my family talks to dogs, and I should be able to also, but I'm different. You different than me, and I am different than Tsunade. We each have to make our own paths. Don't worry about who you love and who you don't love. Live for the moment, because you never know how short your life is, and do what you feel is right for you. History will take care of itself. Don't become something you're not." Sakura stepped back, bit her lip, and grinned as she said, "Thank you, Rin-sensei. I've been so confused lately that I didn't know what I should do. For now I will get stronger and I will decide later what to do." Rin nodded and said, "That's what I am here for, but I should tell you one thing, don't take forever to decide what you feel for Sasuke and Naruto. If you do, then both might slip away from you." Abruptly recalling Evelyn, Sakura said, "I understand, thank you." As she walked away, Rin nodded and said, "Get some rest, bye." Sitting on her bed, Sakura thought, "Yeah, I need it." A creature emerged from beneath Sakura's bed after Rin had left and she had fallen asleep. It gave her a brief glare before silently leaving the room. When Captain Iku emerged the following day, Naruto was standing with his squad and he said, "Squad leader Reiko, Cadet Naruto, step forward please." Both Naruto and Reiko came forward and Iku said, "I want to congratulate both of you on a job well done. If it was not for you, then those beast raiders could have operated in secret for a very long time before they were caught. I applaud both of you and hereby move Squad Leader Reiko to Squad 7 under Squad Leader Frost. Cadet Naruto, you have shown a unique ability to understand animals to an extent. To investigate the extent of your abilities and your overall skills, I will be moving you temporarily to Squad 1 under me, where I will evaluate you and move you to an appropriate squad to help you develop your abilities to their greatest potential. Now this leaves the rest of you without a squad leader, so I ask you, Reiko, who do you believe would be the best replacement for you to continue your excellent example of leadership for your old squad?" Reiko glanced at them and responded, "Sir, there are 3 choices that I have to replace me. All 3 have skills that I think could help this squad. The first is Cadet Kato of this squad, who was my second in command. He has a good head on his shoulders and has been around enough to know all the skills the others need. The second is Squad Leader Hike. I know he is a member of one of the new recruits, but he comes from a long line of royal guards and he has been trained in the required skills for over 20 years, sir. The last is unorthodox, but he has shown that he also has shown skills that are not easily overlooked and would benefit this squad, and I was planning on asking for his help to teach the rest of the squad those skills, and that person is actually Cadet Naruto here, sir. His display of skills, not including yesterday, are actually compared to those of the 15th squad or higher, sir. I thank you for your vote of confidence in me," Reiko sir, said Naruto, in shock. Iku responded, it appears that Reiko is just as loyal as you are Naruto. Since it was your evaluation of Reiko that I finally decided Reiko was ready to advance. I do agree that Naruto has skills but he lacks the basic of advanced lessons for now, but I will put those notes in his file. Reiko hike is also a good choice, but like Naruto he lacks actual experience himself, so I will take your first choice. Cadet Kato step forward. From this day forward you are now squad leader. Kato, lead them greatness and lead them wisely, Iku said as Kato took the stage. He replied, Sir, yes sir. Alright squad, let's begin our morning exercises. And I will be making some minor changes in the upcoming future to build off of our previous squad leader's example. Move out, as he led the group away. Following their departure, Iku replied, Reiko, I have already informed Squad 7 and you may pack your things today and tomorrow, and I will send you to them in 3 days so you can join them on their scheduled days off and start fresh with them after unpacking. Reiko bowed to Iku and Naruto and said, Thank you sir and thank you your majesty. With a blink, Naruto said, Huh? Iku turned to look at Reiko as well. Until yesterday I only had suspicion, but once the queen herself appeared and took the tracker it confirmed my suspicion. You are a member of the royal family, perhaps a son of her majesty. After Iku averted his gaze, Naruto asked, What will you do with this information, Reiko? My lips are sealed, your highness, Reiko uttered. Naruto replied, My name is Prince Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I am the son of Prince Minato, grandson of Prince Adam. I see your highness. Reiko tensed up, saying, So you are the lost prince and true ruler of Eternia then? Iku looked at Naruto in his armor and said, He as though he has only just recently learned of this and is learning of the ways of our people. I trust you to keep this to yourself until his highness is ready to reveal it. Reiko replied, I would be honored to keep this secret for his highness. I do have one humble request though, if I may ask sir. As Naruto put it, Very well, Reiko replied. I noticed when you returned last night with the queen you had a sword on your back. I assumed that you kept it a secret before now. Since you haven't used it during any of our kenjutsu lessons, I know that sword won't work with the style you have been learning here, so I ask that you visit Shimmer City and find a man named Arrow. Tell him I sent you and ask for the eclipse. What is the eclipse? Asked Naruto, looking perplexed. Reiko stated, It's a kenjutsu style. Arrow is my brother and he created that kenjutsu style himself. Unfortunately, before he had a chance to show the world how great a style it was, he was attacked by a drunk one night from behind when he was with his wife. His wife died that night and he lost an arm and was wounded in the leg. If you could honor my simple request and show my brother's work to the world by using that style, I would be honored, your highness. Why don't you use that style? Inquired Naruto. Reiko let out a sigh. I'm not suited for it. You need speed, strength, and agility on a level 1. Do not posses. I believe that you do have those or you would be able to adapt to them. After a brief moment of staring at the sky, Naruto extended his hand and said, I am honored to have you in the royal guards and I will always remember you for teaching me your brother's style. Reiko, you taught me more in the short time I was under you than I have learned in over 7 years of being a ninja. Thank you sire, I must be going now. Good day Captain Iku. Naruto-sama, Reiko said with a bow as he walked away. Naruto questioned, Why did you do that? After he had left. Iku replied, You need to learn you have to make decisions yourself Naruto, you can't always have someone to hold your hand. With a frown, Naruto said, I understand, shall we begin? As he led Naruto away, Iku laughed and said, Yeah, let's go. Troops, we have a new recruit among us for a short time so I may evaluate him. Siren, you know what to do, Iku said as they arrived at Squad 1. Naruto grunted as light engulfed him and his body started to grow heavy, and a guard stepped forward to wave his hands at him. Iku replied, Gravity has been raised on your body. I don't know how good your chakra control is or how much you have, but the spell you have on you right now makes it where if you want to move your body you will have to send chakra to your legs, arms, and neck to be able to move them. The less control you have the harder it is to move, the more control you have the easier it is. Every day at sunrise when we meet Siren places that spell on each of us, it increases your chakra control and chakra levels. We run to each of the 5 towns that surround the castle and come back here, which is 30 miles, then we spar. The last person back has to spar against each of the other members of the squad in taijutsu and kenjutsu using batons while this spell is on. Do you understand? The answer was, yes, sir. As he and the rest of the squad took off at Junin level speed, Iku exclaimed, Good men, fall out. Naruto thought, shit, as he attempted to catch up to them. Alongside Sakura, attention squad, I want everyone to form up on the water. Good, now I have noticed that everyone's chakra levels are starting to flatten out, meaning you becoming used to this level of training in your reserves. Evelyn, who was on the river with the rest of the squad, told Sakura as she was walking on top of the water, To fix this problem, I will be starting a new exercise to increase the entire squad's chakra levels, starting with the smallest. First cadet Sakura, step forward please. Sakura blinked, step forward, and Evelyn said, since you are smallest reserves, even though you are not the actual weakest member of the squad, I feel that you will be the perfect person to start with, since I would not have noticed everyone else's reserves flattening out without your sudden arrival and change. Starting today, when the team returns to the castle, you will stay here and work an extra hour on water walking before returning to the castle and rejoining us for the rest of practice, and continue this until our next days of rest. After our next days of rest, you will add another hour onto the time you will do water walking and do it for 3 hours until the next day of rest. We will keep doing this until you can stay on top of the water walking for 12 hours. As you pass other members of the squad in chakra reserves, I will increase their training as well, so that way our weakest member in chakra reserves will soon be at the same level, so our squad will become stronger as a whole. When I tell one of you to begin, then that means Sakura has passed your level, and you will start by adding an extra hour of water walking, increasing it. Does everyone understand? All of them said, yes, sir. Evelyn replied, good. Water walking is done for the day with the exception of Sakura. Let's return to the castle, move out. After everyone said, yes, sir, Sakura and Evelyn approached and said, in a low voice that only Sakura could hear, I apologize for picking on you, Sakura, but after yesterday's events, I want to make sure that everyone under me will live, and you need the most chakra level improvement. I hope you're not angry. Sakura replied, no, it's fine and I understand. I admit I am weakest in that area. As she departed, Evelyn remarked, good. Well, I need to catch up with the others, don't overdo it though. Sakura let out a sigh and resumed her water walking. When Sakura returned to her room that evening, she collapsed as soon as she touched the bed. 2 weeks later, time has passed before entering the bathroom in Naruto's room. Evelyn carried Sakura into her room and sat her on her bed. She scowled and thought, damn it, not again, he's not here. Where the hell is he? Maybe Sakura knows. When they were on the river the following day, Evelyn approached Sakura and remarked, you're doing well. Sakura, your reserves are growing significantly. According to Sakura, thank you sir. After checking to see if anyone was nearby, Evelyn said, I was wondering, have you seen Naruto lately? Since the incident with him a couple of weeks ago, I have not seen or heard from him. Sakura puckered up and said, he comes back to his room long enough to grab his food in the morning, but he leaves as soon as he gets it and says hi to me. I don't know where he has been, but I know it's not his room since he hasn't slept there in the last 2 weeks. I've checked when I made restroom trips in the middle of the night. Why? Nothing, just curious. Evelyn scowled, adding, well, you need to get back to work. Sakura returned to her work after saying, yes sir. When Naruto got to his room the following morning to get his food, he discovered Evelyn dozing on his bed. He scowled and went to get his food, and when Evelyn heard him, she woke up and said, Naruto-kun, that you? Turning, Naruto uttered, yeah, what you doing here? Evelyn stood up and said, I was so worried for you. I've been looking everywhere for you and even asked Sakura, and she said she hasn't seen you except in passing. Where have you been and why haven't you been in your room? With a neutral tone, Naruto stated, I've been busy training. Naruto said, I need to go, I got training to do. As he prepared to leave after Evelyn approached and wrapped her arms around his shoulders, however, she struck him in the leg with lightning, causing him to scream in agony and fall to the ground. As she crawled toward him on her hands and knees and licked her lips, he tried to move but flinched in agony. Evelyn said, what? Can't handle a little pain? I can make it feel better, as she kissed him and repaired the damage to his leg. When Sakura woke up and heard Naruto scream in agony, she rushed into the room to find Evelyn on top of Naruto. She blushed and hurried out of the room. Evelyn snarled and said, not again, as Naruto vanished in an instant, covered in leaves. Damn it, she said as she stood up and slammed the door behind her. Sakura, who had just retreated into her room, tensed when she heard Naruto whisper, don't scream, and a hand covered her mouth. It's me, Naruto, he said, moving his hand to shut the bathroom door. Sakura said, what the hell are you doing in here, as she turned to slap him. I said Naruto. Sakura glared at him and said, you what? Attempting to fit in with her. Sakura was shocked when Naruto vanished in a whirlpool of leaves, scowling and saying sadly, no, I came to ask for help, but I guess that was too much to ask. When Naruto emerged from the stables and saw Adora staring at him with her arms crossed, he questioned, what? Adora remarked, I knew you would come here. With a frown, Naruto uttered, oh, why is that? Because you're wearing that mask again, Adora said as she approached. You refused to tell me what's bothering you, so I have no idea what's going on. It's visible in your eyes. Please have faith in me. I need some time alone, Naruto said, closing his eyes to clear my head and determine what's wrong. I need some time. Gazing out the window, Adora took a small black bag out of her pocket and tossed it in his direction, saying, catch. Adora remarked, there's enough money in there to last you a month, as Naruto caught it and appeared perplexed. Take Cloud Runner and take whatever action you feel is necessary. All I want is for you to explain the situation. Inquiring, how did you know I would come here? Naruto bit his lip. Ever since I first started teaching you to ride, you have been sneaking in here talking to your horse, Adora said with a small smile. Naruto said, I'm confused, as he looked down. Everyone seems to be hiding things from me, just like Konoha did. I feel like you and the sorceress were preparing me to become He-Man, and I never really had a say in the matter. Rin comes next. She claims that events involving Sakura and me are predestined, just as they were with her and her husband. Whoever he is, this worries me because I care about Sakura, but she has been acting strangely around me ever since then. There's her, I'm not sure why, but something about her makes me feel uneasy. I'm not sure why, but I feel like she's exactly like Mizuki Teme. Perhaps it's because she says she likes me, but the way she tries to show it terrifies me. Adora asked, looking perplexed. No one looked. I got a lot I need to figure out, Naruto said, shaking his head. I'm simply going to go away for a while and work things out. What about the supplies you're going to need? Adora inquired. Clothing and food. I gave you enough cash for housing and food, but not for clothing. Naruto stated, I've learned about sealing a little from Dad's notes, so I've been carrying everything including my parents' things with me ever since. She said, when you get back will you tell me what's wrong? To which Naruto replied, yeah, I just need some time. Very well, Adora said. Naruto, you have my love. They left the barn after Naruto climbed up on Cloud Runner's back and said, I know. He then gave the horse a light side kick. I see what you meant, she sighed after he left. I'm sure you can assist him. Yeah, said a figure emerging from the shadows. He needs a man-to-man conversation. Every boy needs a role model who is a man. Adora replied, good luck Captain Iku, or should I call you Obito now? The only response she received was silence. After more than 2 hours of riding Cloud Runner, Naruto slowed as they came to a small river and exclaimed, whoa, before bringing them to a halt. After getting off, Naruto went to the river, knelt down, and started drinking the water with his hand. He then glanced at his reflection in the water and at his eyes through the slits, noticing that they had turned red from blue, and he thought, so you're here again. Yes, boy, a voice in his head said, you are now a part of me, and I am a part of you. You will never again be without me. I knew it was too good to be true, Naruto thought as he closed his eyes. Kyuubi, you're still inside of me. That Miko you call sorceress was good, better than even I could have predicted, as she purified my chakra which was being held in the seal, but my soul still remains, Kyuubi said, laughing in his mind. Gazing at the river, Naruto asked himself, what do you want? I am aware that you are the one influencing me. Why are you unable to leave me alone? I have lived for thousands of years, and I am not prepared to discard all of that, Kyuubi stated. I ensure my own survival by ensuring yours. I can no longer harm your helpless human body because of the Miko. She was never able to comprehend the full extent of my power. You still haven't answered my questions, Naruto thought as he stood up. What would you like? Kyuubi remarked, your soul and mine were sufficiently fused together by the seal that imprisoned me to function as a seal in its place. The Miko enhanced our merger after she cleansed my chakra. You retained your growth spurt from your transformation because of me to maintain the improvements to your body. I managed to combine it with my chakra, which you are absorbing now that it's stronger. You must learn to make the most of your newfound power. I'll teach you so that when we completely unite, a part of me will still be there in the newest. Since you lost that battle and needed power, I have been giving you nightmares, so you have no choice. Are you the reason I am afraid of Evelyn? Naruto asked himself. Yes, Kyuubi said. She is a snake disguised as a human. She is just as evil and corrupt as I am. I can see her evil even here. Why do you say that she is evil? Naruto scowled. I don't trust you. You know it's true, Kyuubi said, reiterating his laughter. Don't deny it. You can sense her evil here as well. Why else would you be going in that direction? As he mounted his horse again and proceeded to cross the river at a leisurely pace, Naruto thought, whatever. After stopping for the night and experiencing nightmares of being thrashed by the Konoha villagers, Naruto got back on his horse and resumed his journey the following morning, drenched in sweat. When Naruto eventually came upon a castle that resembled a snake, he circled it and asked, peering over his shoulder, so how long are you going to follow me? I see you taking those chakra detection lessons to heart, Naruto, Obito remarked as he emerged from the forest. When Naruto noticed that Obito had an eye patch, he exclaimed, so you're Rin's husband and Captain Iku? Yes, but how did you know? Obito replied. Naruto said, my nose, as he turned to face the castle. Your scent was detectable to me. I see that Rin's gift works, Obito said, shaking his head. Names are Obito and Obito Uchiha, by the way. With a nod, Naruto inquired, why did you follow me? Naruto's eyes widened as Obito walked next to him and asked, "What's the fox doing to you?" Obito noticed this and responded, "Surprised. I checked on you last night when you were thrashing in your sleep. I was worried about you, so I used my Sharingan to see if I could ease you mind. I saw the fox is still there. Thought he doesn't appear to be what he was before." Naruto sighed and said, "Sorceress purified his chakra, but his soul remains. He said he is going to teach me to use his chakra so that I can live longer, so he lives longer also, so when we merge together finally that some of him will remain." "Why did you come to this place, Naruto?" Obito asked, nodding. In response to his gaze, Naruto remarked, "It reeks of the same feeling that I get from someone who is trying to get close to me." With a scowl, Obito said, "Evelyn, she's the one you were talking about to Adora, wasn't she the one you're confused about?" Obito said, startling Naruto. With a frown, Naruto replied, "Yeah. You're so much like your parents it's not funny," Obito said, placing his hand on Naruto's shoulder. "You have the will to protect like your father, but your personality is all your mother's." Naruto inquired, "What is this location?" With a downward glance, Obito uttered, "Snake Mountain, home to Skeletor and his dark minions." "But why does Evelyn reek of this place? Why does Kyuubi claim she's a snake in human skin?" Naruto said, biting his lip. Sighing, Obito replied, "Are you sure you wish to know that answer? I will tell you only if you are sure you want to know. I can promise you though that you won't like the answer." After swallowing, Naruto uttered the words, "I need to know." "Have you read about the first king of Eternia?" Obito asked, taking a seat on the ground. Naruto replied, "No, I read a lot about the history of Eternia, but it seems a lot is also missing." Obito said, "Eternia has not always been as peaceful as it is now. It used to have great wars that caused the lives of nearly everyone on the planet and other planets. The man who became the first king of Eternia was the leader of one of the two largest armies on the planet. He created a pair of magical swords, the Sword of Power and the Sword of Honor. He used the Sword of Honor as a gift to the leader of the other largest army as an engagement gift. The leader agreed, and when they were married they used the two swords to bring peace to Eternia. To ensure that another war like the one they ended never happened again, they gathered all the ancient secrets of Eternia and stored them in Castle Grayskull. They then created Castle Eternia and ruled for many years of peace, but when the king died the queen wanted to ensure that peace would remain on Eternia for their descendants, so she gave the throne of Eternia to her son who became the next king of Eternia, and to his twin sister she gave the secrets to Castle Grayskull, and with the last of her strength cast a magical spell on her daughter, turning her immortal as long as she remained inside of Castle Grayskull, and over time she became known as the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull. Your great-great-grandfather, King Nero, had two sons, Randor and Keldor, both of whom were strong and wise. When King Nero passed away, he had not yet chosen which of the brothers would succeed him because he did not want to put pressure on them or ignore the other. The brothers then set out on a quest to find the Sword of Power, the weapon used by their ancestor, the first king of Eternia. When Naruto felt the sword on his back, his eyes briefly widened. According to Obito, both brothers searched for it, and Keldor became injured when he searched in the tomb of the first king of Eternia and had to return to the castle Eternia to recover. Keldor continued his quest and discovered the Sword of Power was sealed in Castle Grayskull. Keldor entered Castle Grayskull and discovered the Sword of Power. Unfortunately, since so much time had passed, everyone had forgotten why Castle Grayskull was built, and so no one knew that Castle Grayskull had a guardian, entrusted by the first king of Eternia to protect the secret knowledge stored there. With a frown, Naruto questioned, "What happened?" Obito continued, "The sorceress, seeing Keldor and not knowing who he was or why he was there, attacked him with her magic to protect the secrets of Grayskull. Keldor was also able to use magic himself, and he defended himself. Unfortunately, he underestimated the attack and was severely wounded, destroying his flesh, and only thing that kept him alive was the defense spell that shielded his body. The sorceress, seeing him in pain, felt bad, not wanting to see him suffer, so she healed him the best she could, but to ensure that the secrets that he may have saw was never released to the world, used her magic to seal his memories. All of them she then, for the first time since the day she entered Castle Grayskull, left it, breaking the spell her mother placed on her, and she found one of the royal guards and had him come to Castle Eternia, where she explained what happened and asked him to take the man away. The guard's name was Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms was my great-grandfather, Naruto remarked with a frown. They turned to see the sorceress when a voice behind them said, "Correct, Naruto." "Was all of what he said true?" inquired Naruto. Sorceress said, "Yes, I did not know who the man I attacked was. I feared he was just another thief who came to steal any treasures they could." Man-at-Arms took Keldor away and locked him in prison for several years. Luckily or unluckily, how you might look at it, I had fallen in love with Man-at-Arms, and in the end we spent one night together. That one night resulted in the birth of my daughter Tila, your grandmother. I noticed that whenever I left Castle Eternia where the spell was cast on by my mother I would age, so I hardly ever left the castle. I could not take care of Tila in Castle Grayskull because she would always remain an infant if I did. I had no choice but to ask Man-at-Arms to take care of her. As I watched her grow from Castle Grayskull with my moving pictures, I did not want to see my daughter grow old and die, so I attempted to use the same spell my mother used on Castle Grayskull and me on all of Eternia. Since I did not sacrifice my life to cast it, the spell did not grant immortality. It instead cuts a person's age in half. If you were 30 you would be 15, 100 would be 50, and so on and so forth. I did not realize, however, that Castle Grayskull magnified magical powers. Now every time the planets in this solar system get into a certain position, the great eye of Castle Grayskull opens and the spell repeats itself on every planet in this solar system. That was over 500 years ago. When I discovered the truth, I used my magic to make everyone believe that it has always been like this. Naruto replied, so that is why everyone is so young when they are older. What does this have to do with Evelyn though? The sorceress stated, Keldor, while he was in prison, did not know who he was and people gave him the name Skeletor. Skeletor, the guy who killed my grandfather, was his uncle, Naruto exclaimed, gasping. The sorceress replied, yes, Skeletor, with the help of another magic user named Lin, who at one time was a guard at the castle, until one day one of her squad members died from Lin failing to watch all those under her. In the trial the squad told details of the training she put them through, which most could be considered nothing but torture. She was sent to prison and was given the name Evil Lin. Lin was able to restore Keldor memories, and he became obsessed with revenge against me and his brother, who had taken over as king after Keldor had disappeared. Now you ask, what does this all have to do with Evelyn? Only a handful of people know this. Evelyn, Obito, Rin, Adora, Bo and myself are all who know this. Sakura knows a little but not much. Evelyn is the daughter of Skeletor and Evil Lin. Then she's, Naruto said, his eyes widening. None of them noticed a snake on the ground, but it began to transform into Evelyn, who shocked everyone by saying, then I am your distant cousin Naruto-kun. What are you doing here, Evelyn? Obito inquired. Evelyn moved her finger back and forth and said, I'm tired of these little games. I played by the rules and tried to be a good little girl. You remember when I was released, Captain Iku, what was said that day? Since there was no other heir of royal blood, I would be named the next ruler of Eternia. You remember that I played nice and turned my own mother, and I watched as that bitch Kushina killed her publicly and then took the personal cosmic key that I gave Queen Adora so she could go to the planet where her nephew was. Remember, I was supposed to marry him in exchange for helping return him, so that way I could complete my father's dream of taking over the kingdom. As a sign of good faith, I allowed myself to be locked away to show I wasn't like my mother or father. Staring around at Obito's and the sorceress's scowling faces, Naruto questioned, what's going on? Evelyn said, what's going on, dear cousin, is that after everything I sacrificed to reclaim my father's honor, I, the daughter of Prince Keldor and rightful heir to the throne of Eternia, was screwed by your bitch of a mother who seduced her way into Minato Heart before they came here. After you were thought to be dead, I was placed in the guards as a sign of my loyalty on top of my time in prison, so I worked hard to prove I was both strong and wise, and then lo and behold, the lost son of Minato suddenly appears and I get shafted to the side again. So I decided that if your mother could seduce her way to the throne after I sacrificed my time, freedom, and blood for it, then why the hell couldn't I? I knew that if others found out about my knowing who you were, they would instantly stop me, so I've been trying to secure my right to the throne with an heir of my own. All you had to do was be like any other male and accept a girl wanting to fuck you, but that damn bitch Sakura kept getting in the way. Sorceress here taught Sakura a magic spell to make her get stronger so she could be there to keep me from you, and poisoned her mind against me by revealing who my mother was. Never mind the fact I turned my own mother in. I tried to make it where she would be tired, and I tried to be nice, but we kept getting interrupted, and then you started to hide for some reason. Then I learned about the matchmaking game that the others had put in place for you and Sakura to ensure that I never had a chance. I couldn't stand it. I can't stand it. I won't stand for it. You got a choice. You will either give me an heir securing my right to be Queen of Eternia, or that bitch of yours is dead. Obito replied, and what's to stop me from stopping you? Evelyn nodded and continued, amazing what you learn by watching someone. Cage Bunshin no Jutsu is an amazing jutsu, lets you be in two places at once, allows the real me here to get what is rightfully mine from this tainted blood prince, or lets those beast masters I released from the prison to attack and kill poor little Sakura at sunset when she would be too tired to fight back from several hours of water walking. So what will it be, Naruto-kun, your bitch or your throne? With a growl, Naruto asked, where is she? Evelyn responded, why should I tell you? It's not like you can get there anyways. Biting his lip, Naruto uttered, "Let her go free and you can have what you want." Evelyn replied, "Sorry, I'm not that stupid. You want her free, then you have to give me what I want. I got to save Sakura-chan, but how I don't know where she is and I can't give Evelyn what she wants," Naruto thought as he gazed up at the sky. "How about a deal? I help you save your find, save your mate, and save your kingdom," Kyuubi smirked in the back of his mind. With a frown, Naruto pondered, "In exchange for what, Kyuubi?" Kyuubi raised her eyebrows and said, "You let me teach you what I want. I know you never break your promise, so chose trust me or lose everything. You know she's going to kill your mate after she gets what she wants." After glancing at the prepared to fight Obito and the terrified-looking sorceress, Naruto said, "Evelyn, you ever dance with the devil?" This caused everyone to stare at him in confusion. Then Evelyn said, "What, never mess with a kitsune snake? We're smart enough to bite at the neck," as Naruto vanished from view, and Evelyn screamed in agony as she held her side where Naruto's fist went through her body. Naruto smirked, and the ground shook as blue chakra started to swirl around his feet, going 30 feet in the air as the wind around those standing there picked up. Think Naruto and Neji fight after Neji sealed off Naruto chakra. The next instant, Naruto was out of sight once more, and the sound of devastation could be heard as they left the area. As she changed into a falcon and took off after Naruto, the sorceress scowled and uttered, "I will go after him. You take care of her." "Right," Obito said as he rushed over to knock Evelyn unconscious with his Sharingan and started tending to her injuries. A scream of, "Kill her," was heard as Sakura was standing atop the water walking. She turned to see 9 beast masters standing on a small hill and a puff of smoke. She started to retreat as the men leapt from the hill and moved toward her. The men started chasing after her as well, but they jumped over the river on some of the boulders that were just barely protruding from the water. Sakura realized the odds had changed and started running in the other direction. Sakura kept running, thinking, "What the hell is going on? Who are those men and why are they after me?" Sakura ran for the next hour, thinking, "Not good, I can feel I am nearly out of chakra. Please someone save M," as she faints and begins to fall to the ground, only to be caught before she reaches it. When Sakura started to fall, the beast man who was catching up to her became excited. However, as she fell, a white tiger leapt in front of her body, and Sakura landed halfway across the tiger's body. When the tiger heard a howl in the distance, he smirked and turned to face the Beastmasters, saying, "You guys have fucked up. You're messing with the wrong beast mate." Between the tiger and Sakura and the Beastmasters, Naruto materialized before the latter could comprehend what he meant. After glancing back at them, Naruto said, "K's that you?" K's replied, "Yes, I smelt you scent in the area and came to investigate, and I found your mate in trouble." Watching the men before him, Naruto uttered the words, "Take her to your den and guard her for me. This time there will be no survivors." K's remarked, "Very well, brother," as he started to slowly jump away with Sakura after noticing that Naruto's eyes were red and his whiskers had grown larger. "Get them. It's just a boy and a tiger. We can kill them," one of the beast men said. When Naruto opened his eyes after closing them to collect himself, ki was exploding off of him at the men who had backed away in terror. Naruto said, "Today you all die." Kyuubi, a deal. You got me here in time to save her, but let me do this on my own. I need to know what I am really capable of," Naruto thought, still feeling the chakra coursing through his body. Naruto felt extremely exhausted and thought, "Damn, I didn't think of that. I guess I have no choice." As the chakra surrounding him gradually faded, his eyes turned blue again, his whiskers thinned out, and he reached behind him to retrieve his sword. Holding it high, he exclaimed, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," as he changed into He-Man. The beast men were prepared to urinate. As this was happening, a man swallowed his fear and lunged at He-Man with a sword. He-Man blocked the blow, and he thrust his hand forward, grabbing the beast man by the neck and lifting him slightly off the ground. He then stabbed the beast man in the stomach, twisting the blade before kicking him away and slashing up at the same time. He-Man said, "Now there are 8, after realizing the man was dead. When He-Man stabbed his sword into the ground, put his hands together, and uttered the words, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," 20 of them appeared and fled after the man, one of them grabbing the sword of the man who had just been killed. 2 of the men started to flee after witnessing one of them die so easily. When the other 6 saw this, they charged at Naruto brandishing swords, and he danced around them, slapping and cutting as many as he could. He was stabbed in the stomach by one of the men and slashed across the back by another. By this point, 7 of the Kage Bunshin had returned and had engaged the men, killing 2 of them before they were destroyed. He-Man was bleeding profusely on his knees when chakra exploded from his body. Once more he screamed in agony as he charged at the 4 men who were still alive and repeatedly slashed them with his clawed hands. A hand of chakra formed out of his back, grabbed one of them, and slammed him head first into the ground. Sakura woke up in a cave and squeaked as she looked around and noticed an orange tiger with a small cub lying next to her. Voice then asked, "Are you alright, my lady?" Remembering what Naruto had said, she asked, "Are you Kase?" when she saw him. Kase replied, "Yes, I see your mate has informed you about me. Are you alright?" "Yeah, but what do you mean, my mate?" Sakura scowled. "Naruto's scent is on you," Kase said. "What happened? Where am I and what happened to those men who were chasing me?" Sakura asked, shaking her head and surveying her surroundings. Kase stated, "I caught you when you passed out and Naruto appeared and began to attack those men after he told you to bring me here. This is our den. Show me where he is going to need help please," Sakura said, her eyes widening. As he started to lead her away, Kase gave her a look and remarked, "Very well." Naruto was unconscious and the beast men had been ripped to pieces. When the sorceress arrived, she scowled and was ready to make her presence known when Sakura, who appeared exhausted, ran toward Naruto with Kase at her side. She ran to his side as she saw all the blood covering him and screamed, "Naruto!" Gazing about him, Kase thought, "Protective much." Sakura swiftly took off her armor, tore off her shirt into multiple long strips, and took out a bottle of water to start cleaning Naruto as thoroughly as she could while attempting to bandage his wounds. She started to cry and attempt to heal Naruto as she lifted him up, gasping at all the wounds on his body and thinking, "Oh Naruto, why did you do this? Why did you save me?" Rewind Rin gave a grin and stated, "Luckily my husband was too stubborn to die, but you should realize, you're both screwed. History is repeating itself and sooner or later you both are going to follow in our footsteps and you will fall for Naruto and he will nearly die." Naruto pointed to his chest, where the scar was, and said, "Already did, see." Rin replied, "Nope, you haven't nearly died to save Sakura yet, just wait." The end of the flashback. "Baka, how can you throw your life away for me? Why does history have to repeat itself?" Sakura thought as she started to cry. Sakura passed out while crying, unaware of the magic surrounding her or the sorceress tending to Naruto. Before she transformed back into a falcon and took off, the sorceress turned to Kase, touched his head, and caused his eyes to gloss over. When Sakura woke up, she checked Naruto's wounds and noticed that he was still breathing. "Did I heal him? I can't remember." Sakura turned to Kase and inquired, "What happened?" As he lay on his paw, Kase remarked, "You healed your mate and passed out afterwards." Sakura checked Naruto's wounds and saw that they were all healed, so she put her hand to her head and asked herself, "But how did I heal him?" She shook her head, saying, "We need to get him out of here away from this blood before some wild sorry." She also noticed that it was almost dark. "I understand, can you carry him?" Kase asked. "I don't have the strength," Sakura tried. Kase replied, "Then put him on my back and I will carry him." Sakura slung Naruto over Kase's body slowly and said, "All right." They quickly returned to Kase's den, where Sakura checked Naruto and sat him down. The orange tiger then approached and laid across his body, as did the cub, and Kase departed, leaving Sakura sitting next to Naruto. A short while later, he returned with a fish, which he sat down and declared to be, "Eat." After biting her lip and removing a tiny knife, Sakura sliced the fish into tiny pieces, ate a few, and then gave the remaining portion to the tigers, saying, "Thank you." Sakura quickly fell asleep as well, and Kase remained silent as he lay down close to the cave's entrance.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.